Hey, my name is Brian. That is Shane. Welcome to the podcast member section. We're talking about
Woo!
Voyager today.
Woo! Star
Yeah.
Trek
Star
Voyager. And
Trek.
if you're watching this, just know we're sorry we're late. A little late today. We got a little mixed up on our time. We're supposed to start at noon straight up, and I see some of you have waited for us. Thank you for your patience. We are going to make it worth your efforts and time because this is a 2-hour video, and we're going to go through the whole darn thing for you.
It's
So,
Shane's fault.
Brian,
It's all Shane's
how are you
fault.
doing, buddy?
Not bad. Not bad. Living the dream, dude.
Awesome.
You know what's
Um,
interesting? That intro music on there is copywritten. And last time I was like, I should probably fix that. And I was like, you know what? No, because then we get the copyright thing, and I can just automatically cut the intro out without having to do any work.
I don't know what that means.
So like when you get the copyright claim, it's like, do you want to trim this section out?
Yeah.
And how we like to trim out the intros of our videos after the streams.
Oh, you're talking about the countdown.
Yeah, usually it's
Oh,
like, oh, it's a lot of effort, so I don't do it. But when we get a copyright claim, I can just go, oh, trim out section, and it trims out the entire
it's
intro.
already it saves you like 5 seconds. I got it.
No, it saves me like 30 minutes. Do you kidding me?
I love this. Brooks playing. We're never late. It's about the journey. Thank you, Archmage. I didn't realize it was about the journey until I turned 50. By the way, then I realized life is really about the journey. So we're talking Star Trek Voyager today, and thank you for all of you new members that have come and signed up. I know that as Brian and I get ourselves together and get better at this process, we're able to bring you guys more content more quickly, and we appreciate you coming to hang out. Today we're talking about Star Trek Voyager. This, of all of our documentaries that we've created, was definitely the most difficult, the most time consuming, and it's probably the best. If you're a fan of Star Trek specifically and Voyager, I know a lot of people Voyager is their favorite, then you're not going to be sorry that you watched this documentary, I don't think, because there's a lot of great info in it.
Yeah, this was the hardest one we've ever done, hands down.
It took, it took us at least 3 months to make this.
Yeah.
And that's a lot when you consider we can usually do one of these, anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks to, a month and a week or so, usually. So
Yeah,
thank you, John.
This one was a beast.
And we were very motivated because we really wanted to beat the official Voyager documentary, which is hilarious because they had announced they were doing an official. It wasn't official. It's not official. Let me take that back. These guys decided they were going to do a Voyager documentary. And so they started working on it to do it in an official capacity, meaning they got like special interviews with the actors and pulled this all thing together. But it took them like 3 years.
Yeah.
And they raised millions of dollars to do it.
Like $7 million.
Millions and millions of dollars to do it. Okay. But we kept going, this hasn't come out. Let's just do our own. So we did our own. And it took us about 3 months to do it. And it cost us probably, I don't know, $15,000 if you consider, maybe what we get paid to make a 3-month video, but the two of us.
Is the other one out? Is the other one out yet?
I haven't seen it. I was told it was out.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. It's funny because we need to beat this. That was last year,
right?
And I haven't seen it.
So I've heard two things. I've heard one that the reason why it came out was because our documentary actually put a fire underneath them because we came out with something and it was getting tons of views. It's already over 1 million views, I think now, and on YouTube. And so I heard that put a fire for them to finally get theirs completed. Plus, they collected $7 million from people. So it's like, you better get that out or else you got to start paying people back. But here's the best
sneaky suspicion that it was more profitable to not put it out for a while because they were.
Oh, it's not out yet.
Yeah.
It's not. It went out to some supportter, but not
why. They were crowdfunding. So they had the 2 different crowdfunds on Kickstarter. They had a GoFundMe, and they had another one. It was called. They had 3 different crowdfunding websites for this thing, raising a ton of money. And I think like after when one burnt out, they just went to the next crowdfunding website. Just kept crowdfunding. It's crazy.
Well, that can bite you in the butt, because if you do that, there's a lot of expectations, and you could end up not, a lot of people, I'm not going to say any names here, but there's people who've crowdfunded and then not put out products, and it turns out pretty ugly.
We know those people.
Yeah. So, thank you. $20 super chat from Kenneth LaRoque. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. On top of being a member, he still gives us the super chats. We love you.
Super member. He's a super producer.
The super producer, because he's a producer twice.
Mm-hmm.
He both levels of producer, which makes him incredible. Thank you, Ken. You literally support us. And here's the other thing. Nothing's really happened yet, Ken. We just started. We're late by about 35 minutes because unseen consequences. But we're going to make sure we start on time next time. But so anyways, some of the people who did see it. So there were comments on this video, and this is what I love. My favorite part about it. Some of the people that this did go out to, I thought it went out wide. The fact that it hasn't is interesting, because if it went out to some supporters who saw it commented that our documentary was better anyways. So not only did we not collect $7 million to make it, but some people are saying that our documentary is actually more informative than the one they created, because the one they created is probably going to be more about feelings and kind of remembering it. You know how that goes with some of these actors. They don't, they just kind of, you don't necessarily definitely get a lot of info. So hopefully with this one, you got everything you ever wanted from Star Trek Voyager. And if you haven't checked it out, we also have an Enterprise one that we did, Star Trek Enterprise. And at some point we'll do TNG.
So I've learned that I don't like classic documentaries. Like the documentaries where it's like every 3.5 minutes, there's a different interview by a different person that worked on the show or was a cast member or a director. Because those people are not, like, they don't actually give a lot of information. They'll talk for 5 minutes and say a minute worth of valuable data, if that. And a lot of it's based on like their feelings when time on the show or anecdotes, and it's not actually telling you anything about the show itself. It's not actually giving you the inside scoop on the show or the movie or whatever.
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting how things change over the years. And one of the things we've learned by doing these documentaries is that a lot of times, and this might actually ruin it for some people, but a lot of times the actors don't really care about what they've done as much as we care about what they've done.
Oh boy, is that the truth.
You know what I mean? And it becomes painfully obvious when we go through some of the research on this, how they don't really know. Like some of them never even watch the show. Some of them, and if you go back and watch the Garrett Wang and I'm already drawing blanks on names here, but which podcast was it that they were doing? Anyways, they were doing the
Shuttlepod.
It wasn't Shuttlepod. No, they were doing.
They're doing another
Voyager.
one.
Anyways, they came. Garrett Wang started this whole thing. He's the one who started the whole.
That's right.
Let's do a podcast. It was about the flyer.
Yeah, the Delta Flyer.
The Delta Flyer.
That's right.
He started out doing the show, right? And come to find out, a lot of the people they had on the show, a lot of the actors who were on Voyager, never actually watched the show. They're like, well, I was there. I acted in it. Why would I watch it? And so Garrett Wang, who's like an expert on Star Trek because he actually loved it so much, was always amazed that some people didn't know anything about the show. And they actually, from doing the podcast, learned about the show. So when you go back and Robbie and he ended up loving the show, right? So what happened was, because the Delta Flyer show, the guys over on Enterprise decided they were going to do a, what was it? They're going to do a Shuttlepod.
Shuttlepod. Yeah, the Shuttlepod show.
They then also didn't know shit about Star Trek, fell in love with Star Trek after doing the show, and went back and watched it all and said, oh my God, this is amazing. So even the actors who were in these shows didn't know how great Star Trek was until they were forced to go back.
It's like that scene from Galaxy Quest. Do you guys even watch the show? Remember?
Yeah.
with Guy.
That's right. Guy.
Guy.
I love that. I love Galaxy Quest. We have one on Galaxy Quest too, if you guys haven't seen it.
What's my name? What's my name? Calm down, Guy.
All right, let's jump into this thing, shall we?
Let's do it. Here we go. Here we go. Let me see if I can full screen this sucker. Yeah, I can. Oh, no, that's not the right one.
I love how this thing starts with Kate Mulgrew speaking.
Yeah.
This is a really great way to start this one. You always have such interesting creative ways to start each of these teasers. I love how you do it, actually.
Man of Steel was a little lame. But you know, that there's not much to do there. I had fun with the Superman Returns, but Man of Steel was like, It's more like, well, it's like a lot of flying and hitting and emotional stuff, and that's okay, let's do that. Not much you can do. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Space. Literally, it means nothing.
Nothing.
A vacuum between stars and planets. But by the same token, it means everything. For those of us who've made space our home.
In 1995, 21.3 million homes tuned in to see Star Trek's first female captain on the opening night of a brand new television network. Star Trek Voyager would have nearly 6 million more people watch its premiere than Star Trek The Next Generation had. But it was the incredible success of The Next Generation that allowed Paramount to create Voyager as the third Star Trek spin-off series in 8 years. Airing mostly alongside its sister series, Deep Space Nine, Voyager may have sailed high on its premiere, but for 7 seasons the show and its crew would fight an attrition of viewers while serving as the guinea pig flagship show of the newly created United Paramount Network. From its difficulty casting a captain, to the writers being able to create Star Trek stories 70,000 light years from home, to surviving a cast edition with historic
I remember
sex
how long
appeal,
it took me to
and
upscale
finally
all the
finding a
episodes.
satisfactory way to get
I still
Voyager
have
home.
them.
The cast and
I
the
have the
crew of
entire
this Star
season
Trek show
upscaled.
would end up navigating perilous light years to steer the series to a successful conclusion. And while taking on its fair share of criticism as something less than the shows that came before it,
Best
Voyager
episode ever
usually
right
lands in the middle of the pack
Threshold,
when it
yeah.
comes to ranking Star
Word.
Trek series. But as time has passed, many Star Trek fans are beginning to see Voyager as the show that may have embodied the ideals of Starfleet more than any other. With characters so beloved,
Well, the
fans
music in
have
this
cheered
is
their
a lot better
crossover
than
into a
our-
new era of the
our most recent
franchise.
ones.
What happened
I
in
guess
the
I gotta raise the music up a little
mid-1990s
bit.
that created a legacy Star Trek
Pause it,
fans are still celebrating
I can't
today?
hear you in it at the same time.
Sorry. No, I was saying the music in this is so much better than in my opinion, than the most recent docs. It's almost like it's 'cause I need to raise the music up more.
Well, I would argue that sometimes the music competes with what I'm saying actually in this. So
Okay.
you've done the video so many times, you're like listening to the music. You're not really listening to my words.
Yeah, that's true.
So for you, it makes sense. But for people trying to get information, it does get a little tight. Actually, I think your use of music in these videos, like the timing of music and how you use it. Now this track that you have here tends to be repetitive for quite a bit. It's a really nice, like running, it kind of, but it is a little bit repetitive. I think since making this documentary, your music's actually gotten better.
Oh, thanks, man.
So yeah, I think the way you've incorporated you making some music and other people doing so. When we decided to make, while we got it paused here, while we decided to make this, I of course went back and watched Voyager again. And I think what surprises me is how emotional I actually become watching this series. I love TNG. TNG is fantastic, amazing Star Trek. I love Deep Space Nine, but this show makes me emotional. And I think it's because Janeway's connection to her crew and her, being tapped into being a captain and what she's doing. I believe it. I believe it 100%. And I love her hope and her optimism and the fact that she holds on to these Starfleet ideals, no matter what the sacrifice. So
Yeah.
that's how I felt when I was making this.
Kate's awesome.
What is the true story behind a show that had everything working against it, but still managed to have an indomitable spirit that blazed a path into Star Trek history? Well, you are about to find out. This is the definitive history of Star Trek Voyager, and you've never heard it told like this before.
Mr. Paris,
That is true.
set a course
For home.
for home.
And if you haven't already
So-
subscribed to our channel, please do so now. Give us a thumbs
One of the
up if
things
you want
that,
more videos like this.
Yeah, thanks for turning that down.
And stay
Perfect.
tuned until later,
One of the
where
things
we'll
that
share a cool
that I did when I made this that I haven't done with other things is I actually went back and got a book, a book that was written as the show was being made. There was a guy, and I'll have to hopefully we got the link in there. I'll have to go find it again, but that basically he was on set while things were going on, and he ended up writing this sort of history, a little bit of the making of Voyager. And I used a lot of that in the research that I was doing. The reason why the information that you see in this video is not readily available is because that it was done really before the internet when he wrote that wrote that book. So a lot of the information just never made it to the internet. So it's kind of a pre-internet information, and that's why I think we were able to bring so much new info to this. So yeah,
All right.
just wanted to give away that secret.
Thanks, man.
There's coffee in that nebula.
There's coffee in that nebula.
Before Star Trek Voyager premiered on January 16th, 1995, seeds for the show had been planted unknowingly before the watchful eyes of Star Trek fans. Remember the freedom-fighting Maquis from Deep Space Nine and The Next Generation? Well, their inspiration wasn't quite as organic as it seemed.
It seems that one disaster after another keeps bringing us back together again.
But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. We'll get back to that in a moment. The initial work on Voyager began in 1993 during the 7th and final season of TNG and the 2nd season of DS9. Paramount Pictures had already decided 7 would be the final season for TNG. The official word was the studio didn't believe the TV show could succeed if the current crew of the Enterprise were on the big screen. But there was also the fact that Patrick Stewart and his co-stars would be demanding bigger contracts going into an 8th season.
It's all about the money, baby.
You're absolutely right.
So because
Yeah,
the
it's true.
tandem
They just,
TNG
they
DS9
didn't want their
shows
golden
had
cow
performed
being
well
purged
together,
by
the studio wanted
TNG
to keep
season,
that magic
another
going.
season.
But Paramount also had something else up its sleeve. With the tremendous success of both TNG and DS9, as well as Entertainment Tonight, the Arsenio Hall Show, and other programs, the studio wanted to pull the trigger on something they'd been fascinated with since 1978. Creating their own television network to compete with the big three, ABC, CBS, and NBC. And the successful launch of a fourth network, Fox, in 1986 emboldened Paramount even further. So just as the 1978 network launch plan had included having
feel like I
Star
need
Trek
popcorn
Phase
or
2
something.
anchor it, the studio wanted its new Star Trek show to be the flagship of its new United Paramount Network. But at that time, no one was making a new Star Trek show without Rick Berman. Star Trek's current executive producer had been handpicked as a young studio vice president by Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry himself in early 1987 while he was
Berman
creating
gets
The
a
Next
lot
Generation.
of
Gene, who was
slap
known
for being
having
a
an
misogynist
icy
and all the other
relationship with the
stuff that was
studio, saw
pretty
something
normal
he
back
liked
at
in
that
Berman.
time during
The
television.
young
But the
man
truth of
wasn't
the matter is,
Trekkie
we don't
and
have
didn't
Star
even
Trek.
see his first
We
Star
don't
Trek
love
movie
Star
until he
Trek
watched
the way we
Wonder
love it
Woman
today
Roddenberry,
without
which
Berman.
Berman said is
I
one of the
wonder if
reasons Gene
he
liked him.
is
He wasn't
as
coming into the temple.
misogynistic
It was a
as.
television series.
Sorry, I paused
The
it.
other
I wonder if he's as misogynistic as they say he is, because like I've seen the kind of people that a lot of these Hollywood left types call misogynistic, and I don't know if we would call them misogynistic. And it's
Bro,
like,
everybody was misogynistic back then. Everybody.
Oh.
And it wasn't, and it's not because everybody hated women. It was just the sign of, it was the way things were. You know, listen, when I was a kid, you walked into somebody's office, they were smoking a cigarette and they had a nudie girl up on the wall.
That's true.
Or some sort of calendar. And, you know, it was, women were sexualized. I mean, because
Yeah.
that's the way it had always been. You get a lot of stuff that happened, like when 9 to 5 came out and women took over the workplace. And my boss, who's smacking secretaries on the ass. I mean, that's the way it was for a long, long, long time. The women didn't bring any value, right? And they were kind of, you know, treated like, you know, pieces of meat. So I didn't know that was wrong. Let me be clear here. I love women. I think women are equals and everything about it. But when I was a kid, when I was a young man, I just thought that's the way it was, because that's the way everybody was. you can't judge people from history based on today's standards and values. It's not fair.
Right.
You weren't there. You don't understand. It may have been wrong, but nobody knew it was wrong. All of a sudden, the light bulb came on when I was in the Navy and I was in my early 20s, and I'm like, oh, holy shit. You know, I just like this light bulb, like, this was really wrong, the way people were being treated. And then once you give people the chance to see the light, you know, they change and they become better and they grow. And Rick Berman, you know, as credit would say, I mean, he casted TNA, okay? But he did that because that's what sold tickets.
Right.
You know, so you get, you know, our favorite, you know, Borg, you know, we get Jolene Blaylock on Enterprise.
We still
get
sells tickets. What are you talking about?
It does, but nobody wants to admit it now because then that would be wrong.
Yeah, I remember going to a mechanic when I was young with Dad, and I just casually walked into the mechanic shop, and there as they're working on the car, and literally like collaged, wallpapered on the walls and the ceiling was just boobs and vaginas. Like, it was crazy. I remember thinking, like, this is not normal. I guess it was normal to them.
Right. It was pretty normal. And the other thing was, you know, you didn't, you know, you were taught to treat women right, like open the door for a woman. You were taught to be a gentleman.
Chivalrous.
But at the same time, there were acceptable limits to what you could do. Like, you know, you could beg for sex, or you could, you know, put pressure on women for, you know, sexual encounters and things like that. That none of that stuff was deemed wrong. I mean, you have songs like "Baby, It's Cold Outside," which actually shows us encouraging this guy to pressure this woman into having sex. You know, so you have a whole time frame, and so when you put
that's
Berman
true. It does. Baby, it's cold outside.
It does.
I really should go. No, you need to stay.
Right. So it's like, you know, even Gene, I mean, it was the way things were looked at. And listen, we've stopped being cavemen. We've grown up. We've learned that, hold on a second, that's not right. About a lot of things. We become more enlightened as we go. The trick is staying enlightened as a society as we move forward. So judge Berman how you will, but I will tell you, there was no golden age of Star Trek, which we feel is, you know, TNG, you know, original series, TNG, DS9, Voyager, and Enterprise, I think, is being looked at better looking back at it.
I got nothing but love for Berman, man. He gave me T'Pol and 7-9 and Orion Girls, and no, he gave us good Star Trek.
You love Dr. Crusher too, just like everybody else, and
Dr.
Deanna
Crusher.
Troi.
Yeah, Deanna Troi.
Well, guess what?
Troi. Oh my goodness,
that was Roddenberry.
Oh,
that was Roddenberry.
That was all
so
Roddenberry.
say what you will.
Whatever.
Yeah, Roddenberry.
It was all good Star Trek.
What I'm saying is he set the stage. Roddenberry just kept the Bible. I mean, sorry, Berman just kept the Bible going.
Yeah, it's true.
So Gene set it up.
Format, you know.
And Rick refused to change, which is what kept it so good.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I like that too.
Another thing the creator loved about him is that Berman was a hands-on producer, just like Gene. The young producer had been the director of current programming for Paramount, overseeing series such as Cheers, Family Ties, and Webster. By the time Next Generation launched in the fall of 1987, Roddenberry had made Berman heir to the Star Trek helm and would tutor him in the ways of the Star Trek universe. And Berman was an apt student. Gene had strict rules about the universe he had created, and Rick felt compelled to follow the Roddenberry Star Trek Bible even after Gene's passing in 1991.
That episode was egregious.
If one of the things you love about the Star Trek franchise,
I can't watch that with my kids in the room.
Is that sense of hope in the future, grounded in the knowledge that the captains we love do the right
gotta skip
thing
that
regardless
episode
of the
whenever
cost
it's
to
on.
We were
themselves or
impressionable
their crew,
young men.
that they will always have each other's back. That is in large part because of Rick Berman, who felt Star Trek would be just another science fiction
the guys
TV
too.
show without the ideals
Riker
of its
had that
creator,
bulge
and
going.
that definitely included Star Trek Voyager.
We're alone in an uncharted part of the galaxy. We'll continue to follow our directive, to seek out new worlds.
I remember how hard it was to edit this without getting
Just
a
prior to
copyright
the
claim.
launch of Deep Space Nine in
That whole
January
scene was like 30
Say it again?
Paramount's research department.
I remember how
had
hard
been-
it was to edit that scene because it was like 30 seconds long, and we can only use about 8 seconds of it. So
Right. You got to get creative sometimes.
I had to
man.
get real creative, dude. That's why you see the ship in there a bunch of times, sort of breaking up the feed.
Focus groups around the United States. It's something they regularly did to get a feeling for what Star Trek fans would respond to best in the future. And one of the questions they asked was whether they would watch a fourth Star Trek series that ran simultaneously with Deep Space Nine. By mid-1993, the studio decided the answer was a yes.
Yes.
Chairman of Paramount's
Yes.
television
Yes,
group, Cary
absolutely.
McCluggage,
Absolutely.
knew how lucky he was to have Star Trek.
Look at this stud
Other
muffin.
studios would have killed to have a franchise
Give us
that
as many
produced
shows as you
multiple hit
can.
TV shows
Yeah.
while simultaneously earning huge box office revenues. McCluggage wasn't about to let the Golden Goose take a break when he could see the next
Look at
golden
those
age
graphics,
coming.
dude.
It was with this idea McCluggage met with Berman about creating a new show that
Classic
could replace
rotoscoping.
TNG right away. Berman, who had been running Star Trek on TV for more than 4 years at that point, was excited about creating a new show but felt another show would be pushing too much Trek when you considered the feature films in development. But McCluggage was adamant, so he and Berman had a meeting to discuss a few points that would shape the new series. The first was this new show would be a ship-based show. They both agreed that with TNG ending, viewers would be left with only a space station show, and being out on a ship exploring
They were right.
was the heart
They
and
were
soul
right.
of
You
Star
got to
feel
be
like
out in
the
space.
second thing they both
I hate to
agreed
say it, but I
with
feel like
is that
all
this
Star
new
Trek
show would
should be a
contemporary
ship-based show.
to TNG and DS9. They
Like,
didn't want
the
it to
best
be set forward
episodes
or
of
backward in
DS9
time to ensure the
were
viewers had a sense of
on the
familiarity
Defiant,
and they
dude.
could build upon some of the stories and characters
In
they
my
already
opinion.
Yeah.
created.
I mean,
a third issue
DS9 's
they
good
discussed
in its
was
own
left
right, but
unresolved.
I hated
Who
the
would
whole.
sit in the chair. DS9
the
had
whole,
done so well
yeah,
with
the
Bajoran
wormhole,
part of it.
Bajoran
Sisko
wormhole
and
thing.
portraying
yeah.
Star Trek's first
The
black
mysticism
captain
of
in
it,
the
it didn't seem very
so Berman
scientific.
thought it was time to have a woman in the
Plus,
chair.
remember the-
Easier said than done. Each Star Trek show
the
was
light
essentially
sail
built
ship or
around
whatever
the
it was
person
called?
sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
That
And
made
at the
no
time of their
sense.
conversation, there were no female leads in a primetime hour-long action-adventure episodic show. McCluggage wasn't opposed to a female lead. Contrary to what a lot of people believe, the studio's hesitation about a female captain was not motivated by a male-dominated industry. McCluggage was worried about
Okay.
the fan reaction.
So let me
The
pause
viewers were
that for a
mostly
second.
Copy?
To be clear, that's what they told everyone. They told everyone that their hang up wasn't because they were worried about a female thing. So that's officially the way it is. Now let me tell you what I think personally. Whoever did the things that said, "Do you guys want to see a female captain in Star Trek?" I would be shocked if those were accurate or if they were done fairly. Now we know Rick Berman wanted a female captain. In fact, he had the hots for, you'll see coming up here, he had the hots for the actress he was trying to have become Captain Janeway,
Oh, yeah. I remember
who
her.
played Geordie LaForge's love interest.
Yeah.
He tried to get her on Star Trek. He just had I don't think he ever did anything with her. I don't think he just had the hots for her, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that him wanting a female captain was in the back of his mind. He was kind of thinking she would be it, right? But here's the thing. They said they did a poll, basically, asking people if they wanted a female captain. And the overwhelming, yes, people wanted a female captain. I was around at that time. Let me tell you, no one wanted a female captain. Okay? And when we were getting a female captain, we were all like, why are we getting a female captain? Okay, this is how, I guess, misogynistic you can call the time, or unfair, unequal the time was. No one felt that a woman could do the job, frankly speaking. No one felt that a woman would be able to be the next, Captain Kirk or Captain Picard. So it was bigger than we put it out, or that it's remembered, that they did not want that. Kate came in and changed all of our minds, but
Yeah.
it did not happen right away.
There
So-
were newspaper articles and personals protesting the female captain, which I find, thank God the internet didn't exist back then.
Dude, it would have been, no, I'm telling you, it was like, what do you guys think you're doing? And honestly, I mean, everybody was pretty nervous. We wanted a new Star Trek show, but everybody was like, a female captain? What are we doing here? And Kate came in and just knocked it out of the park. It took a season, but she knocked it out of the park, man.
Yeah, she did.
Men between the ages of 25 and 45. Would they accept a woman as a captain in the tradition of Kirk and Picard? The studio didn't know, and it wasn't
remember
sure
some
it
of the
wanted to bet
comments
the
on
golden
here,
goose to find out. So McCluggage told Berman to keep their options open
asking
to
when you
anyone
asked that
regardless of
question,
gender.
would they accept
He
a
told them
woman?
to cover all the bases.
Some of the
and
comments were
choose
like,
the
why
best
wouldn't
captain,
they?
whether they
Like,
were male
shows
or
your
female.
age
Berman
right
agreed.
there.
Yeah,
But
it just,
privately,
you weren't
he was
around at
convinced
that
he could
time.
find
I
the
know
right
it doesn't
woman
make
for the
any
role.
sense now.
He
Looking
knew we were
back,
going
they look
back
like a
on
bunch of damn
spaceship.
barbarians.
Yeah, but some of the comments really don't know. You can tell the new Trek fans versus the old Trek fans because, like, they really don't even understand the concept of it, and then they get mad at you for reporting that happened in the first place. I found that hilarious. Dude.
Right. I mean, think about it. Anybody under the age of 40, they're not going to have a clue.
No, they're not gonna know.
I mean, they're not going to have a clue what we're talking about here. So I get it.
That's true.
But we had to do something.
Why did that cut off?
I love this part of the story.
Starting
I
in July
love
1993,
the weaving
Berman
of
met
this.
in his office with 2 co-conspirators 4 days a week. The meetings were
I like
top
how you call them
secret hush-hush.
co-conspirators.
Nothing was said to
Yeah.
anyone about a new series, and these
Good editing here.
get-togethers were called developmental lunches.
Thanks, man.
The notes taken in this meeting were so secret they were
do my
put in
best.
sealed envelopes and delivered personally by their PAs to the co-conspirators. No
Oh, those giving
multiple
me
exchanging
post-traumatic
of
stress
hands.
disorder right now.
The Star Trek family had enough on its plate getting ready for
I'm remembering
DS9's second season and
the
TNG's
weeks it
final.
took to
It
edit.
wouldn't help if everyone started focusing on a new show when they weren't even sure what they wanted to do yet. Berman's co-conspirators were Michael Pillar and Jerry Taylor. Pillar had been his right-hand man showrunning TNG since season
I like this
3.
image a
He'd
lot.
also helped Berman create DS9 and was showrunning that series as well. They had just spent an entire year getting a new show off the ground, and here they were starting again from scratch so soon. With everything going on, Berman wanted to bring on a third person to help run Voyager, especially a woman to help them develop a female captain. Taylor had joined TNG in the 4th season as a supervising producer and co-writer. Before Star Trek, she'd written scripts for Little House on the Prairie and The Incredible Hulk. Berman thought Taylor would be necessary to help guide a female captain in the chair and promoted her to co-showrunner in the TNG's final season while all 3 co-creators were working on Voyager. But before casting anyone in the chair, they had to figure out what the show was going to be about.
Yep.
The secret meetings went on for about 3 months and lasted 2 or 3 hours a
wonder
day
what that
as they
first,
started building the blueprint for what would become Voyager. They already knew they
And not think about this new show until they were sure. You know?
Yeah, I have a question. Do you cover how they even thought up the idea of sending it to the Delta Quadrant versus regular space? I
How the
forget.
idea came around?
Yeah, like that's a pretty unique idea. Like,
It's in there.
oh, you do cover it. Okay, I just forgot.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. It was an idea that came about because they wanted to get away from the TNG universe. They wanted to get new characters, they knew it would be difficult. They didn't want to rehash the same Klingon Romulan thing over and over again. They wanted to take us someplace new. So that's why they said, well, let's just throw them across the galaxy.
Well, yeah. Also, you have to deal with all kinds of canon and crossover stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, this actually makes the most sense. Like, oh, you want to make something new? All right, take them out of the space they're already in.
Yeah, it was a great idea. John
Alright.
Yulden for £4.99. Top documentary guys, in my opinion, one of your best. I look forward to seeing your future docs. John, we appreciate you so much, dude. You've become a really great friend and supporter, and we really appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, bro.
More to come.
Yeah, I can't. This upcoming weekend's gonna be fun too.
Nick Locarno and Tasha's sister with an omnipotent being who has lost its powers. Within the notes, one can definitely see glimpses of what the series would become, including the ensemble.
I sort of like Star Trek: The Return. Sort of like that. I also sort of like Galaxy's
felt-
Edge. Sort of sounds cool.
It felt too much like a movie title to me. You know, that was the only problem. Was I'm like, it sounds like a movie title, but I get it. Yeah.
What about Star Trek: Galaxy's Edge?
The notation about Tasha's sister.
Yeah. I mean, it's
sort
kind
of
of off the
cool.
nose.
Yeah.
The younger sister.
Yeah.
I
guess.
think Voyager is great. I mean, they're on this long voyage, you know.
Right,
Maybe
right.
Star Trek Voyage.
Plus, it also matches up with other shuttles we've sent out in the past. It sort of works. Like we
Yeah.
have, we
And it was also
we have
the
a
first
Voyager
show
shuttle, we
named
have an
after-
Enterprise shuttle, right?
Yeah. Well, and they'd already done Deep Space Nine. They named the show after the space station. So, right. Star Trek: The Next
sense.
Generation. Well, And then they had, Voyager named after the ship, Enterprise named after the ship. So.
Yeah, Next Generation was the only one that was the outlier there.
Yep, Discovery named after the
yeah.
ship.
Yeah, they all. Yeah, TNG and Lower Decks are the outliers.
Yes.
I'm not even sure if you can call it Lower Decks in the same.
Strange New Worlds.
Yeah. That's not. It doesn't say Star Trek in the title. It just says Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
That's how much faith you have in your product. You don't even bother putting the name of the franchise in your title anymore.
That's true.
Sort of sad.
Strength for a young, angry assistant engineer. They were considering a con officer as a human-Klingon combination. The female character would want to throw off her Klingon nature, finding it.
I did watch one of the new episodes, and John DeLancey is in it. He plays like a primordial Q or something.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, it's Strange New Worlds?
Yeah. So they connect Trelane to the Q, and basically Trelane was Q's son from Voyager. And so we don't actually see Q.
Trelane was the...
We see like a light bulb.
Yeah, Trelane was the inspiration.
We see like an orb, and it's like, what are you doing? Stop playing with these humans. Yeah, and I love John DeLancey. I'll watch him in anything.
To put the finishing touches on his Dr. Hologram,
Trelane was
made in his own image.
The Trelane was the inspiration for Q.
Yeah, yeah. It makes sense that he was an adolescent Q, where he wasn't totally connected to his. He was adolescent.
Are you sure
Yeah.
about that?
The three felt like they'd come up with a great premise for the show, but there was
hot,
only
by the
one
way.
problem.
Kes was so hot back in
McCluggage
the
didn't
day.
like it. He thought catapulting the Starfleet
McCluggage
crew
is
off to
such
another
a
quadrant
G.
of the galaxy, isolated and
He
cut
is.
off from home,
He's the
was a
unsung
bad
hero,
idea.
man.
He thought it
Dude, he's
Harry
such a G.
wouldn't be appealing to viewers.
And they tell you, he got
co-conspirators
shafted
felt strongly about what they'd come up with.
when
So they
CBS
convinced him
took
that the
over.
show did
Did
not
he?
have
When
to be
Moonves
late.
took over.
If you love
Bro,
Star
that
Trek,
guy
you
looks
would
like he
because
just like
Janeway
goes
fought
out
for
and
Starfleet
sails.
ideals and her crew followed
You know,
her throughout the series.
he gets
And it's
the
because of
he
this
gets
moment.
the
Berman
sweater
compelled
and the
McCluggage,
hair.
explaining that the captain would
just a
inspire her professional crew and that they would ensure
golden.
a
What are they
hopeful
called?
tone
Silver
throughout the
fox.
show. And it almost worked.
Somewhere along this journey, we'll find a way back.
In the end, they had to not only promise the inspirational captain and professional crew, but also implement an escape clause.
We had an overall
I
mission.
love that.
Get home.
The studio wanted a way to whisk the crew back to the Alpha Quadrant quickly in the
Just
event
in case.
viewership was poor. And this is what led to the
We know
creation of an
TNG
entity
works,
that could sling starships
just in
across
case.
the galaxy.
Yeah,
at
just
their
in
will.
case.
You would know them
Just
as
in case you need to
We
get
want
home.
to bring him back.
Yeah.
caretaker, who assumed
But you know what I like?
protecting the
They were
Alpha,
thinking
as well
about
as his
just in
niece,
case it didn't
Suspiria,
work
who
out,
would end
we
up
still have
being
to
the
close
real
the
break
story.
glass in case of low ratings emergency.
Think about
There's
that.
another entity
That's not something they do in TV now. They don't do that in modern Star Trek now.
There was, of course,
We don't got to
no
close the story. If it gets canceled, it gets
new
canceled.
alien
What are you talking about?
technology
Like,
or
you need to
even
make
Q
sure you
if they were
close the
desperate to
story.
get the ship back.
Well, in all
As it would
fairness,
turn
this was
out,
an
they
easy
would
way to
never
close
need
the
it.
story. Other
With the
shows is
premise
not
set
this easy.
and
Basically,
Pilla
bring
getting
them
ready to
home.
work on the pilot
The story's
script,
over.
it was
But at least
time
they were
to set
thinking
the
about that.
stage.
Like,
Remember
that's
earlier
an
when we
option.
said
They're not gonna just
seeds
leave
for
them out there
Voyager had
in
been
the
planted
ether.
unknowingly before the watchful
They always
eyes
knew
of
they could
Star
end
Trek
Gilligan's
fans,
Island.
the
Island?
Maquis were born.
Yeah, so they went out. They ended up back out there again after getting home.
Right, yeah. I don't remember how that worked out. Gilligan's
They
Island.
got shipwrecked again.
Gilligan's Island is one of those shows where it's like, even now, in 2025, I can watch Gilligan's Island and still have satisfaction. I can't explain it.
I love it.
It's like a sci-fi show, but it's not science fiction. It's so hard to explain. It has the same feel though of like Star Trek. But it's not Star Trek, obviously.
But infighting between the crew was
Right.
not the Roddenberry way. So they made sure to get the Maquis into Starfleet uniforms quickly and create a captain who had to pull together the diverse group.
They're not your people. You're treating the Maquis on this ship like they're still your crew.
While Maquis tension would pop up from time to time, the dramatic
Fantastic that they
storytelling never
had
reared
enough
its ugly head for
forethought to
long.
implement the
always
Maquis
embracing
into
Starfleet ideals.
TNG and into DS9 before launching Voyager, just to get them into the universe. I mean, when you're controlling things so well that you can prep your upcoming show with shit going in it, that's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I always thought it was just a happy accident, to be honest.
Yeah, I just figured they took advantage of the fact that they used the Maquis. No. They launched that shit first on purpose.
That's awesome. When I watched Voyager, I just assumed they just took advantage of the fact that existed in TNG and DS9. All right.
Yeah, I did too.
That's actually pretty brilliant. That's sort of the way the MCU used to do stuff, like introduce a character into an already known thing before you give them their own special thing, you know?
Yep.
Like warming up, grease the skids, you know what I mean?
Grease the skids, baby.
Female captain. While encouraged but still
Give
not
us a girl.
totally convinced, it
That
gave
was the
studio a
thing.
little more
50% of the
confidence
people
in the
polled wanted a
groundbreaking
female
move
captain.
they were about to
Which,
let Berman make.
yeah, I want to find out who you polled and how many of them were women.
Right.
Which turned out great, by the way.
Right.
Up until Voyager, Star Trek had been incredibly important to Paramount. The franchise had made them $2 billion, with The Next Generation bringing in $511 million all on its own. So the stakes for Berman and his producers to get Voyager right was high. So as it had been with every show before it, selecting the captain was the most important part of the process. And with a mostly male audience between the ages of 18 and 49 who loved and idolized Kirk, Picard, and now Sisko, Rick Berman was about to take a huge risk by messing with the formula. And while the studio was supporting
Dude,
Berman in the decision,
I remember looking
they
for
did
Rick
insist
Berman
he be
pictures.
open-minded.
That guy does not take a lot of pictures, homie.
Didn't come along.
He's got
No.
like maybe 6 total.
He doesn't do interviews either.
And that's the best one. That's the best picture I can find of him. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The guy is the definition of behind the
The
scenes.
audience would accept a female captain as if we made her as much of a man as possible.
The new female captain
Robert
lead
Picardo.
of Star Trek Voyager wouldn't just be making Star Trek history. She would be one of the few female leads ever in a drama series behind shows like Cagney and Lacey.
Dude, I love the neural, like the organic circuitry they had. That was so unique.
It's a good idea.
It's very cool.
Well, they had to find a way to keep it going without needing a lot of repairs.
And it also added more layers for storytelling too, because now it can get sick or whatever, you know.
Carly Fiorina
Yeah.
would also
Replacing
become
is
the first
impossible.
woman
It was a
big deal.
CEO of a Fortune 20 company at
It was a real big deal, the fact that they had a female captain, because if you look back, I mean, we explained it all here. There were not a lot of shows where the woman was the lead. There just wasn't.
Right.
You know, they really did take a big risk.
Well, this was Kate Mulgrew's second lead, though, right?
Sort of, yeah. She had done Mrs. Columbo, which is even like a slight, almost like the wife of Columbo, or I can't remember what her character was, but
A sign of the times, certainly. But
I love those old AOL messages.
From the Bible of Roddenberry knew it was something the creator would have wanted, because he'd already done it before. Female captains had existed since Star Trek IV The Voyage Home, when Madge Sinclair played the unnamed captain on the USS Saratoga. And Gene had tried to break boundaries for women in Star Trek's pilot way back in 1964, when he made Majel Barrett the executive officer under Captain Christopher Pike. But
I would have
despite
thought they
taking
would have
place
made a
far
woman
off
an
in
executive
utopian
officer
future
before
where both
making her
men
the
and women
captain.
are equal,
Yeah, that's a good point.
1964
Going
didn't
this way.
seem ready for it, with
that was very
both
interesting with
sides
Majel Barrett. And if you watch that episode,
to the character.
it doesn't bother me at all that she's second in charge.
Yeah, why would it?
I don't know. I mean, well, at the time, people were like, no.
No.
Women who might play the captain had been tossed around since the previous September. And with the August 15th production start date staring them in the face, a frenzied search for the next captain began. June became July, and July was creeping into August.
No, I
But
just
they had
realized
no-
something. That's why they have
Every available actress
that
was
chick,
dead or spoken.
Rebecca O'Main, playing EXO on Strange New Worlds, right?
They just couldn't find anyone they all agreed on.
The reason, yes, she's playing it basically. Yes, that's why. Yeah, she's the EXO, because that's the way Roddenberry originally had it.
So how does that character go from being EXO to like Yeoman or
Just how
something?
tough was the role to cast?
She
Lindsay
didn't.
Wagner
No.
herself,
No.
despite being
Yeoman
a
Rand? No,
role sheet
that's
and
never
a
happened.
bionic woman.
Didn't
So-
Majel Barrett end up being like an assistant or something?
That's just the actress.
Oh,
She
I see. It
was-
wasn't the character. Okay.
No, it wasn't the character. Yeah, it was Majel Barrett ended up becoming Bones' assistant in medical.
I see.
Nurse Chapel,
Oh, we have.
which is interesting because Majel Barrett plays the EXO, right? Both of the characters. Majel Barrett played both of the characters you have on Strange New Worlds that is now played by two different actresses.
That's true.
Considered Gary Graham.
Majel Barrett
Graham,
is a
in Alien
legend.
Nation, was also in the running
She's
for
the
Cisco
voice.
on DS9.
Yeah, she's a legend.
He'd
computer.
eventually make it into Star Trek as Saval, the Vulcan
They
ambassador
recorded
to
her
Earth
voice.
and Enterprise. In the end,
Adam
the
was
male
telling me,
actor who
if I
nearly
remember
did get the
correctly.
role of Janeway
They have like a
was
whole,
British
like,
actor
directory of
Nigel
all of her
Havers
voices
from
that they
Chariots
use
of
forever.
Fire. But he was in England and couldn't get to the States in time for filming. But while the studio was wavering on a female captain with time running out, Berman, Piller, and Taylor still felt like the right woman was there. They would seriously consider anyone that 2 of the 3 felt strongly about. Berman was specifically smitten with Susan Gibney, who you would remember as Geordie LaForge's misunderstood love interest, Dr.
There she
Lee
is.
Brahms, from 2 episodes of The Next Generation.
He had
Berman
the
thought
hots
she
for
was
her,
a
man.
marvelous actress. With only 5 days until production was planned to start, Berman put Gibney in makeup in a Starfleet uniform and filmed her
Marvelous
on the bridge
actress.
in a scene with Tim Russ and Roxanne Dawson, who would play Tuvok and B'Elanna Torres. He took the footage to McCluggage and Mazza for approval.
He liked her
was
so
good, they
much. He's
agreed,
like-
but they just
he's
thought
like
the
giving her
32-year-old
tests that
actress
they
was
did for
too young
nobody
for the
else.
role.
He's putting her
It
in
was
the
now
uniform, man.
obvious the start date
That's
would
awesome.
not be met, so it was moved to September 6th.
She was too young. She could have
It was
never
about
been
this
captain.
time that Kate Mulgrew came in and read for the role.
Catherine Janeway.
She had submitted a videotape audition, but
She
was
is-
unhappy with the performance.
Kate Mulgrew
so she
just
came out to read
I don't
in
maybe because I
person
grew
a
up with
short
this,
time
but she
later.
embodies
A
that
veteran
character.
of both theater, film, and episodic television, she had a reputation for being a hard-working professional, easy to get along with, and well thought of by other cast members. Kate didn't know she had a connection with Star Trek from
She's
birth.
got a classic
She was
look about
born
her.
with a full
She
set
does.
of teeth
She
in
does.
1955 in Dubuque, Iowa, only 85 miles from Captain Kirk's future birthplace of Riverside. The second oldest of 8 children, Mulgrew fell in love with acting and wanted to get out of the cornfields of Iowa.
Some of that
when
footage
she
was
17.
actual footage of her.
So in 1972, she was accepted to the Stella
But not
Adler
much.
Conservatory of Acting,
So,
which was a
I had
part
to-
of New
I had to
York
pad it
University.
with some stock footage.
Supporting herself by working as a
Right.
waitress, she left NYU only 1 year later. Her big break came on the soap opera Ryan's Hope in 1975. That turned into an opportunity to play a rare
I agree,
female
John.
lead in the Columbo
Chaos on the
spin-off,
Bridge is
Mrs.
awesome.
Columbo,
It's
in
one of the reasons why we
1979,
haven't
which only
tackled a
lasted
TNG
13
doc.
episodes.
And
She
also,
bounced around for
we haven't done a
years, doing an
DS9
episode
doc
here and
because
there
they
for
just did
shows
one
like St.
not too long
Elsewhere,
ago. We need to
Cheers,
give
and
it
Murphy
some time to
Brown,
breathe.
and even had a role in the movie Throw Mama from the Train. But Star Trek meant perhaps 7 years of consistent work. As it would turn out, Berman, Piller, and Taylor liked her, but because of the resistance they were getting from the studio on other actresses, they decided not to cast her and continued the search. Mulgrew walked away disappointed. She needed the work. She was recently separated from her husband, her house was up for sale, and she was a 39-year-old single mom trying to raise 2 children. Disappointed but not ready to give up. Following the audition, she thought, well, if they don't pick me, it's their loss. Little did she know how right she would be.
Whatever happened to me? I mean, where am I?
Just as the list of actresses were running thin and the sands of the hourglass were running out, someone suggested French-Canadian actress Genevieve Bujold. She was attractive, the right age.
This
and
shows
had
you
name
how
recognition.
studios are.
At 54,
Yeah.
Bujold would have been a bit older than the role called
It was because
for.
she was hot.
She was a marquee
Not like-
name that
No,
would land
physically
well
hot,
in
but like
praise.
she was
because
like-
she'd won an
Her
Oscar.
resume was
That was
Right,
it.
yeah.
The
When I
Academy
say hot, I'm
Award
talking about
nominee
hot
and
in the
Golden Globe
industry.
winner for 1970s
She won an
Anne
Oscar,
of a Thousand
she had
Days
buzz.
was a
Well, yeah,
catch
but
for
she
Star
wasn't even
Trek.
hot in the
She worked
industry,
side
bro.
by side
She was
with
hot in the
Charlton
past.
Heston, Robert Shaw, Michael
You know what I
Douglas,
mean?
and Clint Eastwood.
They just wanted to
She
say
certainly
Oscar
had the
winning.
experience to
Oscar
sit
winning
They
there
wanted to
actress.
say
and
Oscar winner.
nearly
That's it.
everyone, including the studio, was ecstatic.
And
over the
studios do
idea.
that shit
Everyone,
all
that
the
is,
time now.
except Rick Berman. Berman understood
We
the
gotta win an
rigors on
Oscar,
actors
so we can
making
put that
movies
in front
versus
of every
those
one of our
making
videos.
fast-paced episodic television. And he had a suspicion that Bujold might not be up to the task.
There was a part of me that knew it wasn't going to work.
But the 2 out of 3 rule held up as Piller and Taylor insisted she was the one, and with time running out and the studio
Battlestar is on our
celebrating
list,
over
John.
having an award-winning
It is on the list.
actress,
It's been on the list a
Berman
long
went.
time.
But while they
But it's
wanted
gonna happen.
her,
So-
she wasn't
so
sure
is
she wanted the
Sliders.
job. She didn't even want
Yeah.
to audition.
Everybody's on my back about this.
But nearly everyone is so convinced that she was the one, they waived the audition and sweetened the pot with a 26-episode guarantee. So without even reading a line, Bujold got the role. But little did she know, she'd have to get by a veteran
They didn't even
Star
have a
Trek
read.
TNG director before getting
Stupid.
comfortable in the captain's chair.
It's only one of the mysteries we're dealing with, Mr. Tuvok.
Filming for the pilot Caretaker began on September 6,
Dude, watching her
1994,
footage is
with Winrick
surreal.
Colby in the director's
It's
chair.
so bad.
If anyone understood how to direct a Star Trek
really
show,
is.
it was Rick. He directed 16 episodes of TNG, including the finale, All Good Things, which would
Yes,
be awarded
Babylon
to
5 as
in
well, Ken.
1992.
We want to do that too. And
The
Sliders.
American director
Yeah.
was the obvious choice to lead Voyager out of space dock.
And
He knew
all
Sequest.
coming.
what type of
Also
character
Sequest.
Janeway needed to be, and he and
Oh,
Bujold
Sequest?
were
Heck
about
yeah.
to clash over
I've
it.
never seen it.
Brought her back in for another look, and not only did they love her, but the studio did too. Nicole Janeway was out, but so was Elizabeth Janeway. Come to find out, Elizabeth Janeway was also the name of a prominent feminist author, and it just didn't make it past the name clearance's people. Just before
Dude,
Kate
I would have been
Mulgrew was
shocked
picked,
if they
the
would have used
character
it.
name
Today,
was
they would
changed
be
to
like, oh yeah,
Captain
Elizabeth Janeway, 100%.
which was also on the short
Yeah,
list
of course.
back when they chose Elizabeth. It appeared as
Because
if the name,
she was
character, and
a
actress
feminine.
were all aligning with the stars. That was confirmed on the morning of September 19th when Kate Mulgrew stepped onto the bridge of USS Voyager and took it over.
I don't like being addressed as sir.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Ma'am is acceptable in a crunch, but I prefer captain.
If Bujold had been a harsh, arid wind, Mulgrew was a charming, cool breeze. Colby watched her as if she'd been on the bridge her entire adult life. Kate delivered her lines with a clear, firm voice, resonating with the strength and energy of a command we would all become familiar with as Captain Janeway. Mulgrew was warm, friendly, and accessible to everyone, and was a consummate professional. Berman would compare her to Patrick Stewart.
Colby fell in love
she was
with
the head
Captain
of the
Janeway.
cast,
That's why he
as
ended up
well as
dating
the
her.
actors
Yeah.
who played them. There wasn't a doubt in anyone's mind
That's true.
that this captain owned her bridge.
Hell yeah, she did.
Engage.
Let's go.
Tim Russ had one of the most interesting Star Trek journeys way before he became Tuvok on Star Trek Voyager. Born in 1956 in Washington, D.C., Russ was an Air Force brat who spent his childhood moving around and living in places like Turkey. He graduated from New York's Rome Free Academy in 1974 and attended St. Edward's, a private Catholic university in Austin, Texas. While there, the program director
This story
would
about
frequently
him
bring
and
professional
Leonard
actors to the
Nimoy
college
is
to do shows with the
bizarre.
students. One of those actors was William Shatner,
Yeah.
and another was Leonard Nimoy, who Russ was lucky enough to act with in a performance of Caligula. What Nimoy would have thought had he known the kid who would eventually play the second regular Vulcan on a Star Trek series was on stage with him that day. After Russ graduated, he made his way out to Los Angeles in 1981 to try and make it in movies and TV. With his parents living in Sacramento, he knew he could get home to see them on the weekends. Tim wouldn't break into the business right away. While auditioning for plays, he chose to work as a driver during the day so he'd have the flexibility to make phone calls, which he couldn't do at other jobs. It would take 4 years before he finally landed an episode of Hunter.
Pretty smart.
From there, he would jump from TV show to
Yeah,
TV
he's
show,
smart.
doing episodes of The Twilight Zone, Amazing Stories,
smart
and Hill
guy.
Street Blues. While doing a play
just
in
wish he
Los
talked to us
Angeles
on
with
Twitter.
Bill Pullman, one night Mel Brooks came to the show.
Everyone would like
Afterwards,
him
he
more, yeah.
approached him and said, "I think
Had
I have
some
a
mystery,
small part
bro.
for you in a movie I'm making called Spaceballs."
What about you guys?
We ain't found
Yep, that was Tim Russ. He often
Yes.
complains that he is more famous for Spaceballs than Star Trek. In 1987, Russ would have his first run-in with the Star Trek universe when he saw a call sheet looking for someone like him to play the role of Geordi LaForge on the new Star Trek show called The Next Generation. He was barely beat out of the role by LeVar Burton, who was known for his role in the movie Roots. So after nearly getting
I
the
used
part,
that clip
Russ
'cause I
spent the
couldn't
next
use the
3
clip of
years
Roots.
chipping away at the Star Trek armor, hoping
Oh,
to land a
it kept getting
character to take him
copyright
to the
claim,
next
bro.
level. But as close as he'd been to landing the chief engineer on
I
the
just gave up.
Enterprise, he
I was
couldn't
like,
get
yeah,
a call back
I
for
believe
anything
it.
else.
I'm using Dave
Star
Chappelle.
Trek creator Gene Roddenberry just didn't see him in any of the parts. But there was something about
Isn't that
Russ
funny
his
how
assistant,
Roddenberry didn't
Rick
like him?
Berman, liked a whole
Yeah.
lot. From his acting to his looks and his voice, the future Star Trek boss liked everything about the actor.
From now on, it goes.
And after Roddenberry passed away and Berman began calling the shots, suddenly Russ was cast. Rick liked him so much he cast the actor 3 times prior to Voyager. With no role really fitting Russ as a main character on DS9, Berman cast him in March 1993 for the TNG Season 6 episode Starship Mine, where he played an alien.
Your Starfleet. You won't kill me. You sure?
The following October, Berman had him playing the
true.
Klingon Takar for the DS9 Season 2 episode Invasive Procedures. Tim made such a good impression.
Oh, yeah, he's
5
on-
months
yeah,
later, he
that's right.
found
I was about
himself
to
on
say,
the
he's
bridge
in
of the
Season 2.
Enterprise B, playing a tactical officer in the Star Trek Generations movie, led by William Shatner and Patrick Stewart. By the time he got to Voyager, Russ would end up tied with Jonathan Frakes for most on-scene
weird how much
appearances
people
with
hate
Star Trek
Generations,
series
by the way.
captains at 4. During
I
the
don't
week
know why.
Russ
I don't
was
know why.
on set filming
I mean, it's not the
Generations,
best, but
Berman came
I get
up
my
to
two
him
captains
not
in it.
once,
Yeah,
but
it's not the
twice,
best, but
telling him
that's
he
certainly
wanted
not the
Tim to
worst.
read for a part on this upcoming series they were doing called Voyager. Tim took the hint. Once is something, but telling him twice? That's leading. So Russ reached out to his agent and said, don't book me in anything for the summer of 1994 because I really want to be available to do the show if I get cast. He didn't want commitments to other projects to get in the way. It was a real sacrifice, and he had to pass up on some opportunities. But knowing he'd likely get 7 years of work as a regular on Star Trek.
Yeah, but Star Trek.
But when casting began for Tuvok,
like that's a long gig.
Then they found out what
if he gets it,
Tuvok, Voyager's 150-year-old black security officer, was going to be played by someone who was 65. Russ, who had turned 38 just before filming began.
Yeah, but black don't crack, dude.
Something must have changed since.
Exactly.
He does not look 65. Straight up.
To this day, Russ isn't sure who changed.
I look older than he does.
But we are pretty sure we know what happened. Remember those secret meetings Berman, Piller, and Taylor were having, trying to come up with an initial story and characters? Well, the character who would end up becoming Tuvok, the tactical officer and chief of security, started out as the engineer. That's right, initially, the team was looking for an older human male with the strength and endurance of the younger officers, but also having a reservoir of wisdom and experience. By August of 1993, the human had been changed to a black Vulcan male who was older. So when Rick was talking to Russ during the filming of Generations, he probably thought Tim would be perfect. People like Whoopi Goldberg had said many times that seeing Uhura on the bridge in the original series gave them real inspiration as children. It said, we're here in the 23rd century and racially and ethnically.
But he wasn't Native American.
Taylor explained to them Native Americans needed the same.
Right. Well, but at that time, you didn't cast people that were like that. You know what I mean? I mean, technically, he's as close to Native American as, you know, he's half.
Right. Indigenous Central American.
Like, well, close enough.
It was perfectly in his right to play a Native American. That was exactly what the producers wanted to hear. Later, Beltran called Taylor and suggested they move Chakotay's tribal background south of the border so he could be Mayan, Aztec, Inca, or even Olmec. These were all cultures known to be highly advanced in science and astronomy. Taylor eventually agreed, and the change was gradually added to the series Bible.
Hundreds of other tribes down there that developed great advanced cultures.
Since he wasn't included in some of the early scenes, Beltran would spend the first week of shooting with legendary Emmy Award-winning Star Trek makeup artist Michael Westmore, trying dozens of different facial tattoo designs before Berman finally approved a style he thought was just right for the character.
Is it the tattoo? Because mine's bigger.
Everyone was so concerned about making sure they got Chakotay's character right, they also hired what they believed was a nationally recognized Native
story
American
is so good.
Who wrote books and produced
Yes.
series about his heritage.
You found this story, it's so good.
He was
Isn't that crazy?
exposed as a fraud. His real name was
I went
Jackie
down this
Marks,
rabbit hole.
and he
I was
of Eastern
infatuated with
European
this
descent and
weirdo.
had no ties to the Cherokee people as he had long claimed. Jackie Marks' fingerprints on
I gotta
the
pause it. This guy literally wasn't even he wasn't even Mexican. He just sort of possibly looked a little bit Native American if you squinted, and he just sold that thing. He was the biggest con man grifter there ever was.
The biggest con man grip. And listen, no shame. To be a con man, you have to have a little bit of like no shame. That dude had no shame.
Zero.
He was let me tell you, he wasn't even remotely close to being Native American.
He was making things up. This
Eastern Europe.
This is the rain dance. Like, the guys.
I feel bad for the producers. I mean, listen, anybody would have been taken by this dude. Okay?
It's so funny though. Like in hindsight, everything he did was so ridiculous.
Right.
But no one knew anything about the culture, so they're not gonna be rude.
No, you're right, dude.
Chakotay character early in its development would be criticized as shallow and stereotypical, lacking detail or authenticity, and hamstringing the character before the show ever aired. Despite some of the backlash this controversy created, it's important to note that Beltran and the production team went into the process with only the best intentions.
It's about right and wrong, and I'm warning you. I won't let you cross that line again.
I love that scene.
I love that.
The oldest member of the
That's
Star
when you
Trek
knew
Voyager
stuff was
cast
coming
was
together.
Robert Picardo, who at the time production began was 40 years old and only a month older than Beltran. Looking back now, it's impossible to imagine anyone else playing the Doctor. Certainly Dwight Schultz would have brought his own style, but fans of Lieutenant Barclay becoming Voyager's Alpha Quadrant cheerleader? say thank you.
You're quite a catch.
Well,
Before we explain how Picardo got the role, it's
I gotta be
important
honest,
to
that would've
note
been
where the
way
idea of a
cool
holographic sentient
to have
doctor
him be a
came from.
holographic
Back during the
doctor.
secret meetings, there was a lot
Who?
of talk about how each
Reginald.
Star Trek show has a character that
No.
can comment on human
It would have been
beings
cool.
as an outsider.
It would have been
In
cool.
the original series,
There's
it was
something missing
Spock.
from that
On
guy. I
TNG,
love the
it was
character
Data.
when in
And
his
for
limited
DS9,
role,
it was
but I don't
Owen.
like it when
The
he's like
creation of the
assured of
Doctor
himself.
follows that tradition in another unique way.
I guess
He's
that
better as the unsure guy.
Yeah, and you can't be unsure of yourself. Yeah, I guess you're right.
As the doctor.
Data and ship in a bottle.
This,
Sherlock
Shane,
Holmes' arch
this is
enemy,
why you're my
Professor
better half,
James
bro.
Moriarty,
That's a
becomes
really good point.
sentient hologram aware
See,
of
I
his
would have died on that
existence.
hill
That's
had you not
exactly
just
the
explained
sort
that.
of
You're totally
interesting
right.
character they wanted on their
Because you
new
need
ship.
someone who is
Who could pull off
competent,
the part?
and he was
Born
never.
in
Barkley was never competent.
1953, Robert
Right.
Alphonse
Good for what he
Picardo,
was selected
who
for,
born in
though.
Yes,
Philadelphia,
perfect for that.
would
And I liked him
ironically
in that.
go to Yale as a
Yeah.
pre-med major, aiming at a career to become a doctor. But after getting bit by the acting bug while performing in several university productions, he would graduate with a BA in drama in 1975. He made his Broadway and television debuts in 1977, appearing in the play Gemini, as well as an episode of Kojak. His feature film debut was in 1981 as a serial killer werewolf in The Howling. Throughout the 80s
What's
and
funny
early
is he
90s,
didn't even really
Picardo
need
would
Star
have
Trek.
roles in
Not
memorable
really.
shows like
No.
Alive,
Doing okay.
The Golden
No, he
Girls,
didn't.
China Beach, The Wonder Years.
Yeah, he's
and Home
working a
Improvement.
lot. Oh my
If
God.
you thought the Johnny Cab in the 1990 movie
Yeah.
Total Recall looked a little like him, you'd be right. Both the
Johnny
looks
Cab,
and
dude.
voice
That's
of the cabbie
crazy.
was
You look at it, you're like,
Picardo's.
that's him.
That is.
I'm Johnny Cat.
They used the face of the
In late
voice.
July
Yeah.
of 1994, Picardo was getting ready to open a play at the Mark Tapper
You know what's funny? I
Theater
never
in
put
Los
those pieces
Angeles.
together until
He'd
this
been waiting
documentary.
14
I
years
hadn't
for the
either.
opportunity and was ironically playing a doctor
But
with a bad bedside manner.
But
He was
then
also
when
heavily
you explained
involved
it, I'm
in
like,
several other
how
projects,
did I
and
not
the
see
last
that
thing he had on
before?
his mind
Yeah.
was auditioning for more work.
I mean,
Then he
because,
got the
well,
Voyager
yeah.
pilot script from his
I
agent,
watched
who
Total
suggested
Recall
he read
before
for the doctor.
this, I think,
Picardo,
so.
who told
I
his
watched
agent
it
he didn't
after,
have time
and they
to
look
audition,
the
was
same, and they
cajoled
sound the
into
same.
going on his lunch
I should have put that
break.
piece
After he
together.
told his agent he couldn't take the part even if he got it, his agent told him to lie. And that's exactly what he did. Picardo went to the audition and lied about being able to do it. But he didn't want to read for the doctor because he thought the part was boring. He liked the part of Neelix and asked to read for that one. They let him, and Picardo felt like he'd done a good job.
Oh, that's
But
funny.
he didn't get the role.
Can you imagine him
The
swapped?
producers were looking for someone a little
It would've been
shorter,
weird.
and perhaps stockier. Picardo's agent told him they'd like you to reconsider coming back for the part of the doctor. He didn't understand the role. They wanted the doctor to be funny, but Picardo described him as colorless, humorless, with hardly any lines. But he was impressed with the script. So after speaking to friends who had been involved with Star Trek before, who
He never got to have a girlfriend, did he?
Voyager would need some friends in the Delta Quadrant, and their first would end up being a quirky little Talaxian. It would turn out to be difficult for producers to find the right actor until
I don't think
they saw
anyone else
Ethan
but Ethan Phillips could have played this
Born
role.
in New York in 1955,
I think you're
Phillips
right.
received a bachelor's degree in English literature from Boston University and a master's of fine arts from Cornell. Phillips began his career on stage performing off-Broadway as early as 1977, and in the 16 years before he found himself auditioning
I know
for
everybody
Voyager, Phillips
doesn't
had already
like this
achieved
character.
an
Like when
impressive
you
career.
take all the characters
Besides
and you
being
look
in
at them, you know, this is the
dozens of
character that
stage
most people would
performances
say
and
they could do without. But when you finish watching Voyager in its totality, especially after Kes leaves, the character becomes much better.
Yeah, he's a big part of it.
Yeah, the whole jealousy bit with Kes made him look really
I
bad.
did not like that, yeah.
Yeah, it was weird.
Females do not deserve the honor of clothing.
When Phillips got the call from his agent about the Voyager audition, he was living in New York. It was pretty standard fare for Phillips. He'd pick up his portion of the script, go over it the night before, and then read for the camera in a New York casting office the next day. It was the same for his audition for Neelix. Phillips joked about not remembering the number of times he's read for a series in New York and nothing would come of it. It was an old actor's joke that the tape always disappeared somewhere on the way to Los Angeles. About a week later, the casting office called and asked Phillips to read for the part of the doctor on tape. Shortly after, his agent called from LA and said the producers wanted him to fly to California to test for the role of Neelix. Recognizing that there was now serious interest in him, Phillips put extra effort into studying for the audition. He flew to LA and hired an acting coach to go over the scenes with him. It wasn't until he was sitting outside waiting to read that he found out the character he was auditioning for had prosthetics. He was comfortable with makeup, and that was probably also a plus since creating Neelix would end up requiring nearly 3
What a
hours
pain
in
in
the
the
chair
butt
before
all
Phillips
those
could even
years.
start filming
Yeah.
each day. When the reading was over, Phillips was sent home, but one of the other guys was asked to stay. He felt at that moment he wasn't going to get the role and went
Yes,
back to New
John.
York.
The episode
next
where
night, his
Neelix
agent
leaves and
called and
Tuvok
said,
dances
"They
for
wanna
him,
see
moves
you
his
again,"
feet.
before saying, "Oh wait,
That's
never mind."
some of
Talk
the
about
best Star
adding
Trek
insult to
Yeah.
of
injury.
all.
It's so sad.
Was not too hard.
The
Yet
studio has 5
heartwarming, yet
days to pick up an option on
to-
a character
you know,
they've tested.
heart-wrenching,
So on the
all
5th
of it.
day, Phillips called his agent and wanted to know what was going on. His agent told him he was still in the game, and it was between him and Robert Picardo for the role of Neelix. He didn't realize Picardo was reading for the part. They had gone up against each other for jobs for 20 years, with each beating each other out from time to time. They were friends, but Phillips felt that Picardo had a little more cachet in the industry, and he wasn't sure he'd get the role. Later that day, he found out that he did get the role. It was August 9th. Phillips remembers thinking it was really great because sometimes you work so hard to get something and it doesn't happen. Well, in this case, it did. And now Voyager had its Delta Quadrant guide.
There you
You're a
go.
peculiar creature, Nick.
Yeah.
Thanks. I think.
This one's sad. This one's sad.
Yeah,
The
it's
Secret
unfortunate,
Meetings
man.
produced a character very different from any that had been a recurring role on Star Trek before. Inspired by a rapid-growing child in TNG's Season 2 premiere episode titled The Child, this new Voyager character was initially called the Mayfly, because like the insect of the same name, this character would have a short lifespan. The producers
pretty
also
cool.
discussed giving the character one or more forms of psychic abilities.
Yeah,
and had Taylor's
hard to write,
production
though.
assistant do parapsychological
But,
research.
I mean, coming
going
up with
as far
somebody,
as to
you know,
enlist a
who
consulting firm
grows,
with
you know,
experience in
who
the
only
field.
lives like 10 years. I mean, it's just a cool idea. Good sci-fi.
That's what makes it so exciting.
I guess,
They would end up slow-rolling Kessa's powers throughout the show, choosing first to focus on her extremely short 9-year lifespan.
And I remember that. I remember like,
Yeah.
this might be excessive.
A little bit too
Every
much.
episode. So that's exactly what they did. The Voyager opening sequence with legendary
I forgot
Star
which
Trek
one it was.
composer
Works about-
Gary
maybe you can do
Goldsmith's
it about 3
uplifting
times in a
original
video.
Score
Yeah.
that truly sounds like Lost Explorers Far From Home Among Uncharted Stars is truly one of the best openings of Star Trek ever. In 2020, Newsweek magazine said the Voyager theme by Goldsmith was the best of all the Star Trek television
I
series
still do
themes.
not know how this
Amblin
wasn't copyright
Imaging would
claimed.
end up winning an Emmy for Voyager's opening CGI
Praise,
title
praise
visuals.
the Lord.
Yeah. The YouTube gods.
Got lucky on that one.
Yep.
It's such a huge
Star
story,
Trek
man.
Voyager's Caretaker premiere aired as a single 90-minute show at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, January 16, 1995. It would be a Monday night to remember, as the brand new United Paramount Network's flagship show would help them win the night with more than 21 million viewers and a 14.2% share of the national market. On their first night as a national broadcast network, they were number 1. It was a special achievement after decades of Paramount Pictures trying to launch their own network. In the late 1940s and early 1950s, Paramount was a
To me,
partner in the failed
this
Dumont
is all
television
very
network,
fascinating
which was
stuff. I don't know
trying to
how much
compete with
other
the big
people
three
care
of
about it,
ABC, CBS, and
but I
NBC.
love the history of how this stuff works, and I love how I tie it into these things. But the reality is the way Star Trek works, by basically being bid out, their episodes being bid out and just haphazardly being on stations around the country was crazy.
Yeah.
It's the way they made their most money. So they thought UPN was going to like, hey, okay, we got a network now. We're going to run this stuff. What they didn't realize is it would actually end up handicapping their new TV series. Voyager would have done so much better
Had it been
had it been
syndicated?
handled the
Now, I
way
don't wanna go
Deep Space
too
Nine and
far in the
TNG have been
woods
done.
here, but
Right.
let's just say television used to be a mess. In order to be one of the big national broadcasting networks, you would need to have affiliate stations in cities across the country that could air your shows
explain
locally.
here.
But it was an expensive venture and there were a lot of hours of programming to fill. So most of these affiliate stations might primarily air, say, NBC, but also have a secondary network like ABC or CBS to have enough programming to fill all of its airtime. If you're old enough, you might remember when stations would play the national anthem and go off the air late at night. So in the late 1960s, the original Star Trek series first aired on NBC and its affiliate stations across the country. But unless you're pushing 60, you probably saw Star Trek the original series while it was in syndication. Once a show was done with its run, because of all these affiliate stations needing more programming, the production studio would sell the previously run shows directly to the affiliates for a nice fee. This term became known as a rerun. As Americans seem to have an appetite
I love
for
that I
more
was able to
television
explain
in
this.
the
I don't think a lot of people
1980s,
understand how
the
this works.
FCC under President Ronald Reagan authorized licenses for lots of independent
very
TV
good
stations
explanation.
that needed a lot of
Thank you.
programming. When Paramount created Star Trek The Next Generation, they thought they would find a network to air it just like the original series, but none of them were interested. Not even NBC, who had run the original series. Thinking the show was dead before it could even be born, Lucy Salhani, president of Paramount Domestic Television, came up with the idea to sell The Next Generation directly to affiliate stations
What a boss
like
she
they did
was,
the
dude.
original series for syndication. And they would call these episodes first-run syndications. And it worked. Instead of launching it as a network program like TOS on NBC, they gambled, and it was a huge success. In 1987, 170 affiliate stations were airing TNG, covering 94% of American television households. They would end up doing the same thing with Deep Space Nine. That model was working fine, but Paramount was determined to be a national broadcast network. But they needed to own their own affiliates in all the major metropolitan areas, which isn't cheap. And this is where Chris Craft Industries enters the story. There is no
So
UPN
wild.
without Chris Craft.
Right?
Was actually the largest manufacturer of small boats on
This
the
story
planet
is
and
ridiculous.
incredibly popular.
It's
from the
weird, man.
1920s
How did
through
you
I love
even,
it.
How did you even get this
1959,
information?
Chris Craft went into the broadcast
Dig, brother,
business,
dig.
and by 1960, it owned 2 affiliate stations in Portland, Oregon, and Los Angeles. As the years went
That's why
by,
it took so
the boat
long to make
company
the damn
switched
thing.
its focus to broadcasting and owned 8 local affiliates by 1993. That is exactly what Paramount needed to finally launch its own network. On October 27, 1993, 3 months after the Voyager secret meetings began, Paramount and Chris Craft announced the formation of UPN.
Decompression in 25 seconds.
While UPN had a huge opening night with its flagship show,
I was
Voyager,
proud of that,
it would
by
be
the
pretty
way.
much downhill
That
from
was
there
cool.
for the network. Initially only airing Mondays and Tuesdays for only 2 hours each night, it was essentially Voyager or bust for UPN. The other 4
Crazy.
shows they initially created to air with the Star Trek show were awful and didn't survive into the next fall.
The final frontier has some boundaries that shouldn't be crossed.
Voyager may not have been able to eclipse the viewership of TNG or Deep Space Nine, but it also didn't have the supportive programming to hand off to viewers to the newest episode. There was no UPN must-see TV on Monday nights to help Voyager. While UPN would eventually be combined with the WB and then fused into the CW, the network would operate for 11 years, giving us both Voyager and Enterprise Star Trek series.
Yeah, Enterprise got hampered by the same damn thing.
Bro, what a massive story you just
Filming
told.
for
It's crazy.
season 1 wrapped on
Isn't
May
that cool?
12, 1995, and 4 season
Gives
1
me a headache.
episodes would end up being held over for season
It gives me a headache thinking about how much time it must have taken you to find all that crap.
It's a long time, man. And not just to find it, but to make it make sense in an overarching
Then to
story.
write it, yeah.
It was all pieces. This story was, by the way, guys, that story was not told in one place anywhere. I had to go learn it all. Then I had to write it in my own way so I felt like we could both understand it. It was, yeah, like taking a class.
It's a lot of work.
The episodes she was referring to were the 37s, Projections, Elogium, and Twisted, which aired as the first, third, fourth, and sixth episodes of the second season. Perhaps she was right when they were initially created, as Robert Picardo confirmed years later that there were extensive rewrites prior to shooting his least favorite episode, Twisted. In the episode, the ship becomes stuck in a strange energy field during a surprise birthday party on the holodeck for Kess's second birthday. Picardo said there were rumors that it was
Kess's
just
second
so bad
birthday,
it would
Jesus.
never air.
Yeah.
Salhani would later adjust the story in Captain's Log Supplemental and Unauthorized Guide to the New Trek Voyages by saying the episodes were held back so they could launch Season 2 sooner and beat the other networks out of the gate. Perhaps the truth is a little of both. The one thing that the schedule change did do is affect the Season 1 finale. Fans had been used to huge cliffhanger seasons during TNG, so Learning Curve, the episode where Tuvok tries to shape up a few Maquis crew members, is pretty weak in comparison. The 37s, which end up being the Season 2 opener where Janeway meets Amelia Earhart, was supposed to be the Season 1 finale and probably would have been a better ending. Jerry Taylor would later share that they and Paramount didn't agree with holding the episodes back, but it was ultimately UPN's right to do so. Stranger than that was the paltry 15
It's all about the
episode
money,
season.
guys.
Trekkies were
Always
used
about
to
the
standard
money.
26 episode seasons
Never
with
about the
TNG and
art.
DS9. At the time, fans thought it was very unusual, and many Star Trek faithful were concerned Voyager might have significantly fewer episodes than TNG or Deep Space Nine because of UPN. The reality was, it was a mid-season show on a new network, and not only did they get a late start in production, but their pilot episode was a huge episode with reshoots.
I prefer it if you didn't tell Neelix about this. It'll be our secret.
From season 2 onward, fans would get their normal 26-episode seasons. Regardless, Voyager season 1 was a success. At times, it even rivaled the viewing numbers of Deep Space Nine, which was a little more controversial of a show than Voyager. Most fans accepted the space station series, but felt that being out in a spaceship exploring was an integral part of the Star Trek experience. During the second season of the show, the cast and crew were still trying to get in stride, but one thing was clear. The actors, thanks in large part to Mulgrew, were building a strong bond. They may not equal the legendary shenanigans that the TNG cast got away with, but they were a fun, goofy bunch of people. Professional when needed, but also not afraid to cut up and lighten the tension from time to time.
Your voice.
I was so glad that her and Chakotay didn't get together. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
don't ruin it.
Please.
Catherine Janeway.
Robert Beltran would often
For a
put
minute
his
there, I thought
lines
they were
on the
going to.
bottom of coffee cups
Oh,
and
it
other
looked like
places,
it.
eliciting laughter from his castmates.
Tim doesn't even take off his ears anymore. When he goes home, he thinks he's a Vulcan.
Ethan Phillips took great pleasure teasing the more serious
True.
Tim Russ while he was delivering lines,
that he
with
thought he
Russ
was-
having 2 Borg-centric episodes, Unity and the season-ending cliffhanger Scorpion Part 1. The
It
big
started
bads of
getting
Star
better.
Trek were here
Yep.
to stay.
We are the Borg. You will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
Season 3 would also give us the first hints of a budding romance between Tom and B'Elanna. Speaking of Tom, this is the first season the cast would get to start directing episodes. Robert Duncan McNeil would direct the 7th episode Sacred Ground and the 17th Borg-centric episode Unity. Robert Picardo would also double as the Doctor and a director, taking the helm on episode 14 Alter Ego. While Voyager had started out very successfully, after 3 seasons, viewership had dropped by nearly 2 million per episode. Braga, who had been taking a bigger role in the writer's room, recalls the show needing a kick in the ass creatively.
Why does-
Captain Janeway was great, but she didn't...
Braga always looks nervous. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
He wasn't really a foil to Janeway. The captain needed someone
It's probably
to
like,
play
I hope no
off.
one eventually figures out I'm a fraud.
He always looks stressed out.
Yeah.
Berman also thought Voyager needed to add some pizzazz to season 4. He was really interested in the character of Data, a machine that wants to be human, but decided to adjust the formula and take a human that was a machine and have them find their humanity. And a Borg would be perfect. And with that, 7 of 9 was born. Named for the android character
Brilliant.
Rhoda from the 1964 science fiction sitcom My Living Doll, Rhoda's designation was EF709, which became 7 of 9. Berman thought the fans would love it. But you know what would really make ratings go up even more? To quote Brannon Braga, a buxom Borg babe. Enter 1989's Miss Illinois, who would finish as 3rd runner-up in the Miss America 1990 pageant. Jerry Lynn Ryan, who would graduate that same year with a bachelor's degree in theater from Northwestern, got her first role in an episode of Who's the Boss opposite Tony Danza. After grinding it out on TV shows and TV movies for the next several years,
If you
Ryan
guys have
landed a
never
series
watched it,
regular
go
role
back
on
and
the
find
series
our
Dark Skies, but it was
short
canceled
video
after 1 season.
where Jerry
As luck would
Ryan
have
is
it, Ryan was
responsible
in the
for
right
President
place at the
Obama
right
and
time,
President
and
Trump
exactly
being
what
elected.
Star Trek
Yep.
executives were
You
looking
guys got to go
for.
back and find that
Everyone
one if
except
you've never
Berman,
seen it.
who once again
I
was
love
trying
that
to get
video.
Susan
It did
Gibney
not
on the
get
show.
nearly the love I thought it
Previously
would.
thinking
Without
she
7
should
and 9,
play
we don't
Janeway,
get a
now he thought
Obama
she
or
would make
Trump.
a perfect 7 of
That's
9.
right.
But the studio once again told him no, and later Berman would say that was probably the right call. The other actresses up for the role were Babylon 5 star Claudia Christian and Xena Warrior Princesses Hudson Leak. It would come down to these 2 actresses and Ryan. Braga would later say of
Hudson
these
Leak
3,
was very
Ryan was the
attractive.
clear favorite. Her audition consisted of 2 readings for the producers before she was asked to talk through the part with Taylor, Berman, and Braga. She then tested for the network and was offered the role. But when she found out what they were planning for her to wear, Ryan didn't like it. In fact, She turned down the role 4 times before Taylor was able to convince her to join the cast. Ryan didn't want to be seen.
It took a lady to get in there and say, "Look, I know your boobs are big, but look, it's going to make your career."
For her looks. According to Taylor, of all the actresses that auditioned,
Taylor had to finally convince her that, listen, your boobs are going to lead the way, but listen. So it took a woman to come in because she didn't want to take the role because of what she was wearing.
And contribute to the show, she would.
Skin tight, big-breasted,
one of the most important characters during the final 4 seasons of the show.
Major career, though.
The costume alone would create an unprecedented media circus.
Great actress, by the way.
Yeah, she is a good actress.
2 weeks after I'd
who would have guessed?
Started shooting yet, I had my own web page all of a sudden.
When billboards and the TV guide showed Ryan in her 7 of 9 costume, a sleek,
she should have been leading Terry Trek.
Accentuated, well,
100%.
The entire entertainment world was suddenly talking about Star Trek Voyager and the upcoming season. And while most people
She's a good
would
actor,
gossip that it was
and
only a
she
ploy
deserved it
to increase ratings,
Yeah.
which it definitely did, fans who checked in to see the new sexy bombshell Borg were sticking around because there was more to this Borg than her costume.
I believe that you are punishing me because I do not think the way that you do.
And she did it under all that pressure.
The problem with adding a
Kate
new
Mulgrew?
cast member when you have a large ensemble
That's
cast
right.
on
Kate
a
didn't
television
like her at
show
first,
is
right?
you might have to make room for
Not
them.
at all,
Many
as
of the
we'll see right
Voyager
now.
characters were already seeing limited screen time, and that would only get worse as 7 of 9 became more popular. Garrett Wang thought he was the one going. He didn't think Berman liked him since his request to direct him was ridiculous, and he thought that the producers of Voyager didn't take risks to make the show as good as possible. Shortly thereafter, Wang requested to direct and was denied. He asked a couple more times in later seasons as well and was turned down then as well. To this day, Wang has strong feelings about Berman and how Voyager was made.
That's why he was
Well,
never.
if you're going to talk shit about the guy who's going to let you direct, I'm sorry.
For
There are
years, the
consequences. Your
rumor was
words
that
have
Wang was saved by
consequences.
being
This is
selected
why he
as
was
the
never
26th
promoted,
most
because he
beautiful
talked shit on
person of
Berman.
People's 1997 50 Most Beautiful People in the World magazine. The production crew couldn't cut him after being recognized by People magazine, so instead, they cut Jennifer Lean because her character just wasn't working out. While that was the rumor for more than 20 years, recently we've learned the truth. Garrett Wang shared in 2021 during his and McNeil's Delta Flyers podcast that the People magazine story wasn't true. He was never at risk of being written off the show. Also in 2021, the truth about why Jennifer Lean was let go from the show finally came out. During the Amazon television series The Center Seat, 55 Years of Star Trek, in the 7th episode, Jerry Taylor shared what really happened. She said it was a mystery to everyone. Jennifer was a very good actor, and the relationship between her and Neelix was working wonderfully. But she started to become distracted, inattentive, and there was something off. She would require multiple takes to get scenes right. Taylor asked her to come into her office so she could see if there was something going on in her life that she could help her with. Taylor shared that no one could speak to her, including her agent. More light on what happened to Lean was shed in the 2020 behind-the-scenes book Star Trek Voyager, A Celebration.
What's up, Joe?
The authors of the book
Hey, Joe.
spoke to each of the main cast members who said Lean was a talented actress who was able to access a deep well of emotions, and that well, it seemed to be filled with dark waters. If you recall when we talked about Lean earlier, she grew up on the streets of South Chicago and witnessed or participated in many traumatic events just to survive. Could those events have been her dark waters? It became apparent to her co-stars and the producers that she was struggling with mental health issues and possibly addiction. They then said it started impacting her ability to really show up for her performances.
One
Unable
leads
to
to
get
the other,
through
that's for
Lean,
sure.
Her contract was terminated and she was written off the show. UPN executives wanted Kes cut from Voyager off-screen without explanation, but Taylor insisted the character get a proper farewell. Lean's
I'm
last
so glad that
appearance
they
as a
had the
full-time
ability
cast
to
member was
push
in The
back
Gift,
on some
which
of
was
the
supposed to
studio
be the
shit,
5th
man.
episode of the
Kes,
4th
you couldn't just
season, but
cut
would be moved
Kes
to the
off
second
screen.
episode
She
after
needed
the
a-
decision
I
to
know.
remove
She
Lean
needed
from the
clear
show.
purpose.
Kes would return one more time in the 23rd episode of the 6th season of the episode titled Fury, but that would be the last time Lean was on the show. In 2002, she gave birth to a son and shortly thereafter would retire from acting altogether. All was quiet about the actress until 2012 when she was arrested for domestic violence. In 2015,
looks
she
so
made
different.
headlines
My, how
again when
times
she was
change.
arrested in 2 separate incidents. In April, she was charged with evading and resisting arrest, reckless endangerment, and aggravated assault, with police saying she rammed into a cruiser. Then 4 months later in August, she was charged with indecent exposure. According to Variety, Lean had a confrontation with a neighbor in Tennessee, during which she revealed her rear and breasts.
She must live in Florida.
In October, Lean was court-ordered to undergo a mental
maybe.
health evaluation. A little more than
Somewhere
a year
down
later,
there.
all charges against Lean were dropped after she paid more than $2,000 in restitution and had no further incidents. She was ordered to continue complying with her mental health treatment. Then, in March 2018, Lean was arrested for driving after losing her license. She'd been arrested a week prior for the same charge, and she'd lost her license after a previous DUI in December 2017, where she was driving erratically and admitted she was drunk and spat on the arresting officer. Since her last incident, she has remained out of the public eye. Thanks to the addition of 7 of 9 and the Borg, Season 4 did get a huge boost in ratings, more than 60% in fact. But the good news and the new addition didn't necessarily translate into good feelings among the cast. Kate Mulgrew, the first female captain, was used to getting most of the attention, but when 7 of 9 was added, all the press started to go to Ryan.
Uh-oh.
Paramount publicity
There it is.
went into overdrive, thinking they
Jealousy.
could use 7 of 9 to break Star Trek into the mainstream media, and they succeeded. According to Berman, things were tense between both of them from the start. Kate was sort of the queen of Star Trek at that point. She hung out with the astronauts, she hung out with Hillary Clinton, and she was the spokeswoman for
Thanks,
women in
John.
leadership roles. All of a sudden, this
Appreciate
busty,
that.
gorgeous blonde babe appears.
Yeah,
who
we
took
are
away
starting to get
everyone's
more
breath.
questions now
I
that we've
literally
learned
once
that
remember some
60%
press
of
being
our
on the stage and just
of
sort
our
pushing by Kate to get to
histories
Jerry.
are
So there was a
watched
little
on TV,
antagonism
on the
that
television.
existed
We're
right
starting
through to the
to.
end of the show with those
We
two
might be on more streaming
It's not
services
hard
soon.
to
We'll
see
see what
why
happens.
Mulgrew might have grown
It'd be
jealous.
cool if we could
The
do
overt sexualization of
actual
Ryan was
documentaries
hard
where
on her. She
we're
felt like
interviewing
it was a
people and
slap
stuff.
in the face to everything she
Hopefully
had
in the
gone
future.
through
Thank
with
you, man.
Janeway. On top of everything else, 7 of 9 became the focus of a lot of stories. Mulgrew wasn't the only one not happy with 7 of 9. Tim Russ felt like the Borg sounded like he did, and felt like his character would have a hard time meshing with hers. So some of the on-screen drama we see between 7 of 9 and Janeway in that 4th season had an element of reality because of the tension that happened
It
on
worked.
screen. As a result, the set of Voyager became a much more difficult place to work. According to Wang, initially Mulgrew wasn't angry with Ryan. It was directed toward her character. But when the production wouldn't get rid of her, that's when she turned her anger toward Ryan,
When
and
the
that's
production
when
wouldn't
things
get rid
became
of her.
horrible. Mulgrew demanded the same number of close-ups as
was
Ryan.
really mad at her
She
until they
also
wouldn't
went to the
fire
line
her.
producer and told them Jerry Ryan is not allowed to use the bathroom unless she uses it before work or after work.
Oh my
Ryan,
God.
who was
That's
already
so
in
mean.
discomfort from the severe
What?
corset in her
Yeah,
costume
crazy.
that caused
She's in a
breathing problems,
skin-tight
had already been holding
jumpsuit.
her bathroom throughout the day, not wanting to slow down production. It took about 20 minutes to get her back into her suit, and someone had to dress her and undress her. As a result, she wouldn't drink or eat anything on set, which wasn't healthy. The producers didn't honor Mulgrew's request to not let her use the restroom, but it had already affected Ryan, and the whole situation had become very difficult for her. Not only was she the new person in the cast, but she was trying to be a professional and give her best performances. But she had mornings where she was nauseous just at the thought of going to work, because she was so stressed, especially on days when she knew she had a lot of scenes with Mulgrew. Ryan shared a story about how Mulgrew would get hair, makeup, and wardrobe touch-ups, but then would say about Ryan, "She's fine, let's go." Going as far as to keep the hair and makeup people off the set. She also shared that during some of her close-ups, Mulgrew would haphazardly say her lines to
I get
Ryan
it though,
off camera
Kate.
while picking her nails.
This
and
thing doesn't
coming
work
to
without
work.
her in the beginning,
bad
and now
blood
she's
would
kind of being
continue
pushed
for a
aside
couple
for the new
years until
toy. I get
Ryan
it.
started dating the boss. She sure did, and we'll get to that shortly.
Oh yeah, she was dating.
Knowing all of this information
right.
gives a whole new insight to those season 4 episodes where Janeway and 7 of 9 are totally at odds. Mulgrew, in recent years, would take total and complete ownership of what happened. This is what Kate had to say about it.
Let's be very straight about something. This is on me, not Jerry. She came in and did what she was asked to do. No question about that. And she did it very well. It's on me, because I'd hoped against hope that Janeway would be sufficient. That we didn't have to bring a beautiful, sexy girl in. That somehow the power of my command, the vicissitudes of my talent, would be sufficient unto the day, because this would really change television, right? That's what dug me the hardest, that to pick up the numbers, they did that. That was my interpretation of it. And that hurt me. I found it sort of insulting. And of course she embodied the part, this beautiful girl. But we certainly were utterly professional. I had been nothing short of completely professional. And she did her job very well. It was a very good idea that she was half bored, but it's on me. I'm sorry it has to be part of this legacy, and I should have probably comported myself better. I should have been more philosophical about it, but in the moment it was difficult.
Season 4 could be described as the 7 of
Yeah,
9
I
seasons.
mean, she owned it.
They were heavy with episodes centering solely on developing the new character and also developing all the other characters' relationships with her. Writers had given Voyager 6 opportunities to return to the Alpha Quadrant. However, there was none of that in Season 4 until the finale, Hope and Fear, where an alien tempts the crew with a quick return home, while all the while trying to get them assimilated by the Borg as revenge.
Oh, I love this
As
episode.
the series continued, there were less attempts to get home quickly and more of a focus on making larger jumps closer to Earth. The first being at the start of Season 4 when Kes gives the crew a gift, knocking 10,000 light years and 10 years off their journey, as well as placing them outside of Borg space.
My gift to you.
It was a nice use to move the story forward and give her a going away.
Yeah, a final,
Braga, who now had an
send off.
elevated role in Voyager after Piller left the show, was responsible for what is arguably the best episode of the entire series during Season 4. The two-part episode Year of Hell, which aired 7th and 8th that season, featured a Krenim military temporal scientist who was obsessed with restoring the Krenim Imperium at all costs. As a result, he creates a change in history that all but destroys Voyager. The episode was inspired by a scene from the Season 3 episode Before and After, where Kes travels into her future aboard Voyager. There, she is in a relationship with Tom Paris, who talks about a race called the Krenim that used a chronoton torpedo.
That's what made a good Voyager
Hell.
movie.
Braga loved the phrase, and he loved the idea of destroying Voyager. He initially pitched the idea to Berman as the ship being under constant attack for the entire season, but Berman rejected the idea of serializing Voyager and limited the Year of Hell to a two-part episode. To many, the episode is considered the most thrilling and engaging story of Voyager's 7 seasons. Also in Season 4, Roxanne Dawson was pregnant, and many of her scenes were shot with her wearing a lab coat to hide her stomach. Tim Russ also directed
classic
his one and
TV
only
tricks.
episode of the show, Living Witness, which was the 23rd. Season 4, which had seen the most change and upheaval of any season, would come to an end with one more huge change for the show. At the end of Season 4, another show leader would call it quits. Voyager co-creator Jerry Taylor, who had now been with Star Trek since the 4th season of TNG, had made up her mind at the beginning of Voyager's 4th season that she was tired and would retire at the end. So, going into Season 5,
That's how hard they worked, man.
responsibility for Voyager fell to the new showrunner.
Like they get burnt out.
All they see is a sensor blip.
It would end up being
They
the
never
highest
know.
rated
They never know the
episode.
truth.
Oh my God, that's
As a
such a
footnote,
good
in the 6th
episode.
season, we'd be remiss if we didn't
Holy
mention that Terry
crap.
Hollis started working on
I mean,
Voyager
seriously, dude, I put some of
production
Voyager's
assistance.
episodes
After
against
Voyager,
any
he would
in Star
continue
Trek.
with
Oh
Enterprise
my
as an
God, that is
assistant to
such a
Braga
good
and
episode.
Wright.
Oh my God,
In
I'm remembering it
2023,
now.
he would become the showrunner
Ooh,
for the third
dude,
season
I
of
remember
Star
watching
Trek
the end of
Picard,
that.
which is
I had a
arguably
tear
the
in my
most
eye.
popular
I'm like,
season of Star
oh,
Trek
yeah.
since
I was so
Voyager.
sad for them.
The
It's
6th season
crazy.
ends with
I
Captain
felt every
Janeway,
emotion in that
Tuvok,
episode.
and Torres being
Absolutely.
assimilated after the crew goes head-to-head with the
Damn,
Borg
I gotta
plane,
show my kids that
setting up
episode.
a climatic final season of the show.
No, you're right, John. It's amazing how what was not good back then is fucking excellent considering how bad shit is today.
Yeah, that's very true.
Braga was burnt out by the end of Season 6, and
That's
turned
why I
the
like
showrunner
Superman so
reins
much.
over to
Superman
fellow
feels
writer
like a
Keith Biller.
return
Braga didn't
to
leave Star
classic
Trek, but was instead
hero's
convinced
journey
to launch
stuff,
the
you know?
next Star Trek series, Enterprise,
Yeah.
with Berman. Biller had
It might not
joined
even
the
be that
series in
good.
the first season
Just
as a
better than
story
everything else
editor,
around,
coming over
so.
from Beverly Hills 90210.
Right.
During Season 2, he became a co-producer. He was named a producer in Season 4 and a supervising producer at the start of Season 5. But he was fired from the show by Berman to make room for Ronald D. Moore, who had been writing for DS9. Moore and Braga had been longtime collaborators, writing Star Trek First Contact together. But after a falling out, Moore left the show. Biller was brought back to the show with a promotion to co-executive producer.
Go do
The point
Battlestar.
here is that Biller was very familiar with the show and was capable of bringing the series home. The final season of Voyager was bringing with it a continued decline in viewership. Despite the
By the
popularity
way,
of Ryan, who had created
You
a
know
character
that
who was
that
somehow
stuff that
both
Kim said in
invulnerable
the
and
TV
vulnerable at
guide
the same time,
definitely hit
the show
home
was finding it difficult to
because
maintain
the
viewership.
guy
And the
that
biggest
played his
reason
best
is
friend
UPN. The
got
show was at a
promoted
disadvantage when it came to
3
coverage
times in the
in
show
many regions
as a
of the
criminal.
United States not
Yeah. Okay.
carrying the network at all.
Field
It's just the
promotions,
worst situation
had a
flagship
wife,
show
had a
could be.
kid, got to
UPN just
direct
couldn't
multiple
attract
episodes.
I had no choice.
Garrett Wang,
Following orders.
girlfriend,
Over,
got
UPN
very little
would
story
finally
arc,
reach only
nothing.
85%
Like
of
they
all
they
the
sandbagged him, dude.
Despite
Like they
that,
did, they
Voyager was
sandbagged him
averaging
hard.
Of course they
between
did.
3.5 and 4
Let me tell you
million
something.
viewers for most of
If
the
you're
final season.
not willing to play the game, you're not gonna. Nobody's gonna do anything good for you. That's a life lesson for you.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the guy he came into the show with gets all this story time, directing chair, like big ups. That's a wild comparison, actually.
Prankster Robert Beltran for that.
He played Robbie McNeil played along.
Jerry Ryan one day when he told her, "I'd
true.
like to have a scene where Chakotay
Well, he's a good director
but
though
it
too,
will never
right?
happen because Brandon is too
Yeah,
jealous."
now
Ryan
that's all he
laughed and
does.
told him,
Yeah,
"I'm
he
gonna tell
directed
Brandon."
Terra
Beltran
Nova, I
said,
think.
"Tell him he doesn't have the balls to do it." As it would turn
I'll tell you
out,
what, this was a
did.
terrible thing they did right
While
here.
He was working on Enterprise.
Yeah,
he
this was a
still had
mistake.
A lot of pull on Voyager, and he answered the challenge by co-writing the teleplay for episode 18, Human Error. In
She
this
should have ended up with
episode,
the Doctor.
Seven explores holodeck relationships
How would that
with
work?
people on the ship, including a romantic one.
He
with
loved her.
Chakotay. That storyline would
How would that
continue
work,
through
though?
the
He's a
finale,
holodeck.
leaving most fans scratching their heads with the
Doesn't
decision.
matter.
It's complicated.
How do you mean?
My personal life is none of your concern.
You're right, but
Neil and Dawson would each get a couple more.
he ended up with
episodes
somebody
to
in the
direct
end,
with
remember?
Body and Soul
I guess he
and
did, yeah.
Workforce Part 2, respectively. With time winding down, the production
Doctor is
team
one of my
knew
favorite
they had to bring
characters
Voyager
in
home.
all of,
But just how would
like,
they do it?
seriously, all
Berman
of
and
science
Braga would
fiction.
come back together and work with
Yeah.
Bill
So-
on
it's
the
so
two-part
weird.
finale and
Him and Data.
But how were
Him
they
and
going to
Data,
bring
yeah.
the new crew home?
Yeah, him and
Primary
Data.
goal
And
was to
the
create a
craziest
story
part
that would
is
be
like
epic in scope.
Robert
Berman felt
Picardo
like
has
they
played
had big
so
shoes
many
to fill,
characters
as
that I
TNG and
adore.
DS9's finales had a sweeping heroic quality.
Yo,
to them,
Stargate,
and they
yeah.
wanted the
I wish
same
I would have
to be true
never
for
have
the
followed
last
him on
episode of
Twitter.
Voyager. Braga explained that they tried to create an episode that taps
You know what I mean?
into the core emotions that
I wish I would have had that
the first
mystery
episode
still.
in terms of the crew getting
Never
home
meet your
and how
heroes,
much
bro.
they
Never meet your
connected.
heroes, bro.
They knew they needed a great villain. They knew also that the
'Cause he was
Borg would
great
have
in
something to
Stargate,
do with the
too.
season
So
finale
good.
because they had been the nemesis the entire season.
His
And
Mr.
notably,
his
Wolf,
character
Alice
arc
Krige,
was he
who
went from
played
like
the
a
Borg
villain
in
and
Star Trek
antagonist
First Contact, would
to a
reprise her role
champion.
in the finale.
I
It
don't
was
know.
Yeah.
Berman that came up with the idea for time travel.
From a
It was
weasel
Mulgrew herself who
to a
came up with
warrior.
The idea of Janeway going down with the ship. An early idea had Janeway
true.
boldly surrendering to the Borg, allowing them to assimilate a battle-damaged Voyager and its crew. The Doctor would then activate a reverse assimilation virus while using the Borg transwarp conduit to escape home. The ultimate decision to have Admiral Janeway, who is unable to live with the fact that she did not bring home her entire crew, go back in time and sacrifice herself to get everyone home, rings true for her character. It was keeping a promise she'd made way back in the first episode of the show.
Set a course. For home.
The finale was watched by 8.8
Did you see
million
that?
viewers,
Come on,
the
bro. Did you
highest
see that?
ratings for the
Sorry,
show.
I gotta do my own harm
The
here.
finale, first episode of the show.
Set a course. For home.
The finale was watched by 8
Come on.
Is that you?
million viewers,
That was me,
the
baby.
highest ratings for the
Oh,
show
nice.
since 7 of 9 was introduced in the 4th season premiere.
I mean, because you said
After
it. The promise she
172
made, at the
episodes
you know,
and 7
at
seasons,
the beginning of the
cast
series.
still couldn't believe it was
Oh,
over.
you're right, yeah.
But Star Trek Productions wait for no one. While filming the final scenes of the final episode, characters' last lines were literally followed by the falling of walls and sets to make room for the new Enterprise show. It was upsetting for the entire cast, who felt like there was no
This part made
real
me
goodbye
emotional.
after 7 years. Even Berman didn't come down to the set on the final day to
I-
give the
I
crew
did that
a proper
intentionally. I
goodbye,
wanted you to
as
feel
he
that
was
way.
already
Yeah,
working on Enterprise.
I'm gonna tell you something.
Mulgrew was kept for an additional 5 days of close-ups
I
and
poured that
pictures,
emotion
and
into the
literally moment
editing
they wrapped, a
I'm
guy
so
because
glad.
I wanted to
with a
display
screwdriver
my
began
emotion in some way
dismantling her
too.
captain's chair.
Because
It's awesome.
when I was
No
remember
one
listening to the script the first time, it
She was
actually
all
made me
alone.
sad.
Then
Yeah.
I'm gonna back it up.
someone
a little bit.
came.
This is the best. This is the best part of the
Screwdriver,
video.
Yeah, let's
and
listen to
began
this part. I really
dismantling
like
her
this.
captain's chair. No one came. She was all alone. Then, someone in the darkness said, "Well, Kate, that was a great 7 years." Mulgrew started crying when she saw that the silhouette in the door was Robert Picardo. He said, "Come here, Captain. Give me a hug and let's go have a drink."
Oh, that gets me every time, bro. No, I mean that might be the most emotion I've ever pulled out of a video.
After more than 2 decades
great.
after it ended,
The
the
timing was
cast of Star
good.
Trek
The
Voyager
music
is
came in
still
at the
best
right
known for
moment.
their
You
time on the
paced
show.
it out. I
Mulgrew
read
would
it
go
like
on
that.
to
It was
continue
good.
acting, including
Yeah,
being
it worked.
nominated for her
It really
first
worked.
Primetime Emmy Award in 2014.
Dude, watching this like a
for her
year
role
later
in
is actually
Orange is
sort of
the New
crazy.
Black.
I know.
After
I feel like I'm
years of
watching it
appearing
again,
at
like
Star
the
Trek conventions, Mulgrew
first
found
time.
herself back with Janeway, this time in voice only, as she played training hologram Janeway and the real Vice Admiral Janeway in the end
Sometimes doing the epilogues right after a marathon, I'm like, I've seen this 7,000 times.
Right.
You know?
Good point.
I need you to stop staring at me like that.
Marry me.
It's just not as enjoyable as when you wait a
15
year.
minutes are almost up. Mine has lasted a long time.
Yeah.
Then in 2020, she found herself reprising her role of 7 of 9.
She was
in
good
Star
in
Trek
Boston Legal,
Picard
Shane.
for 3 seasons.
You remember her in Boston Legal?
I haven't seen it.
Executives
I
ever
haven't seen
decide
it.
to
I
revisit
haven't-
her
I haven't watched
character in
the
a show
episode.
called
She was really good in Boston Legal.
Legacy.
She like
7 of 9
she
would
wasn't
be
7 and
captain
9. She
of
was
the
a
USS Enterprise
hardcore
G.
lawyer.
We'll keep our fingers crossed.
A little bit of a chip on her shoulder. She played it well. She was also good in that school show too. I forgot what it was. She's a good actress. She's a good actor.
And then with other shows like House of Cards, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Supernatural, and The Orville.
Good morning, Commander.
Hi, Isaac.
I wish to become intimate with you.
Pretty good. How are you?
McNeil and
Hi, Isaac.
sorry.
as directors. First with Star Trek, Neil and Roxanne Dawson would both continue pursuing careers as directors. First with Star Trek
Okay, love this show.
Enterprise, and then with other shows like House of Cards,
One of my favorites.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.,
One of my all-time favorites.
Supernatural,
All-time favorites.
and The Orville.
All-time favorites. Okay. What's that about, dude? Those are all my like top 20 all-time TV shows.
Well,
what does it tell you?
Would start a podcast called The Delta Flyers.
I don't. What do you mean? What does it tell me?
What does that mean? What's the connection to all those shows?
Voyager.
Well, not just Voyager, but specifically.
Oh, I guess Berman.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no. Why are all those shows? Why do we talk about all those shows right now?
I don't
Why
know.
did I just mention all those shows?
Because they directed them.
Right, because they're talented.
Oh, they're talented. Yes, yes.
So the reason you like them is because, yeah. So the reason you like Star Trek, right, is because of what they've created and what they learned on Star Trek. They took to these other shows,
Yeah.
and directed them. So you get all those shows are in some way an extension of what you love about Star Trek.
No, and that's actually interesting you say that, because one reason I grew to love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. so much, and I will die on this hill, it's on my top 10 all-time TV shows, I don't care if it's a Marvel show, is because the later seasons remind me of Star Trek in every way. The crew camaraderie, the chemistry, you know, the hero's journey, everything about it is it's a Star Trek TV show, just not in Star Trek name. Same with the Orville, and same with some episodes of Supernatural. Same concept. You have a crew of people trying to save the world. I mean, like this is so these guys learned from watching Berman, right? I mean, effectively. So
exactly.
Thank you, Berman, for
Berman, Pillar.
Yeah, Pillar.
Yep.
So thank you guys for decades of my most favorite things. Like I never actually put those pieces.
Yeah.
I never put those pieces together. That's crazy. I never put the pieces together. I actually don't even remember this part. That's crazy. Orville, Orville, Supernatural, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Dude, like those are all my top 10 all-time TV shows.
They're on your big list, yeah.
And you know what? And the only thing that's better than those shows is Voyager.
Yeah, that's true. Well said.
To discuss episodes of Voyager.
It's wild.
Robert Beltran.
It's making me want to watch Voyager again.
Unwavering man he's always been.
I'm still not there. I watched it a couple times making this.
In 2022, he came back as the voice of Chakotay for Star Trek.
It's making me want to.
Once again,
it's making me want to watch a couple episodes.
Doing in our airspace. And the guy behind him is going, "Yeah, what are you doing here?" I never could figure out why all the alien bad guys had English accents, you know? I always wanted to be like Latino, you know? Hey, what are you doing in our airspace, eh?
Tim Russ would go on to direct and star in the fan series Star Trek.
That's a good point. They all were English accents.
Directed and co-starred in
except for the K's on it. They were too dumb to give them English accents.
Star Trek projects. In
They all sound like they're from Florida.
He was brought back to play a changeling impersonating Tuvok, as well as Tuvok himself during Star Trek Picard Season 3. Ethan Phillips.
God, we were fucking robbed. We were fucking robbed, Shane.
I try not to think about it. It makes me
It's
too
so
frustrated.
fucking maddening. We were robbed, bro. We could have had 7 of 9. Tuvok,
including once again the voice of Neelix.
The guy that played Picard's son was so perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Robert Picardo
I'm trying very hard to not,
non-stop after
when I see
Voyager.
Alex
He
Kurtzman
would also
again,
continue his
punch him in the mouth.
popularity in the science fiction community by playing Richard
That's so
Woolsey on
frustrating to me.
Stargate Atlantis. In
very
2023, he
frustrating.
returned to the Star Trek universe to voice the Doctor once again for Star Trek Prodigy. The Doctor will also play a recurring role starring Picardo in the Star Trek series Starfleet Academy.
Fuck off, who cares?
In 2025. Voyager's significance
I
to
don't
the Star
care.
Trek franchise.
I had to mention it, bro.
I know, but it might be the one Star Trek show I just never watch. You know that, right?
Oh, I believe it.
40 years of watching Star Trek. That may be the one Star Trek show I don't even bother turning on. Not even going to check it out.
I'm not watching Strange New World Season 3. So.
I mean, I'm watching it because it's free, but
I don't give a shit if it's free. I don't care. If they paid me, I wouldn't watch it.
There's coffee in that nebula, she said from the
Dude,
International Space Station.
I asked for
which was receiving a
screeners
shipment of
again.
supplies, including
Just
a
'cause I was like,
machine which would allow
whatever, because I saw the
coffee
screener
beverages to
count
be
had
made
only
aboard
the first two
actual space
episodes, and they're like,
Streaming managed to bring whole new audiences to Star
you
Trek
sure?
Voyager in recent years. In September 2023, we
I
compiled
think
a
maybe
definitive
we've
ranking
been a
of
little
all
too
Star
outspoken
Trek
about
shows
Strange New
and
Worlds.
concluded that
I think
fans
we
liked
might have
Voyager's
burned that
fourth
bridge,
best
dude.
Of all 11 series. You can check
Yeah.
out that video here if you're interested.
If you guys have never
But
seen this
what do you
video,
think? Where
these
does
two
Voyager
videos we
rank
did about
amongst your
like where you
all-time
rank
Star Trek
movies and TV
shows?
shows, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
It's on YouTube.
I actually like these a lot. I'm a little annoyed that these don't have more views, because let me tell you something. The system you came up with for this, Shane, no bullshit, it's good.
Yeah.
Like the ranking
Right,
system,
it is.
it's a scientific ranking system, not based on our opinion.
Yes.
Solely
feelings.
based. No, yeah, not feelings. Solely based on aggregated ratings from across the internet for decades. This is the most scientific way to rank Star Trek TV shows.
Yeah, no, this is the only way you can ever rank it. Like this, okay, let's put it this way. This is the most accurate ranking that you could ever have of Star Trek TV shows.
Hands down. I don't know why more people don't realize how genius it is that what you did there. I'm not trying to toot your own horn, but
change the title.
You should, because what you did, Shane, you did something I've never seen before. You took every poll, every website ranking, IMDb, Reddit, website, every single website there was, and you aggregated them into one median score, and that score is what those shows got. So there was no bias involved. It's literally the most average general score that show can have. It's very
It
good.
included polls from conventions.
Yes, and conventions. You know what's
From
funny?
Star Trek conventions.
We even include our own polls. We put polls up too. We're like,
And
well,
we put our own polls up. Yes.
and you know the crazy part is, I didn't when we first did these these two videos, I didn't want to do them. I thought they were sort of like cheap, because I've seen YouTube videos do it all the time. These are our rankings. But then when you showed me the math, I was like, actually, this is brilliant. I've never seen this before. I've seen 1,000 YouTube videos about ranking Star Trek. No one's ever ranked it in that way. It's always their personal opinion. It's always, or an IMDb poll or something like that. No, this was every single ranking across the internet, aggregated into one score. It's brilliant.
That's true.
Brilliant.
I just changed the title to the most accurate ranking of all Star Trek shows by fans and media.
Yeah, that's what it should always be. Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't think about that before.
I don't know. I know we had a couple comments on there that were like, this is smart, but most people just didn't get it. They all just spout their own opinions. Well, I don't know about that, bro.
That's true. They did. They kept saying, well, I don't think you guys are right. And I'm like,
yeah,
it isn't what we think. Now, I did include what we like.
Yes, we had our ranking in there too, but yeah, that was an aside. The main ranking was the aggregate. I don't know. I always thought that was really smart. If those videos had taken off, I could have seen us making like videos for every like best Star Wars ever. You know what I mean? Like any of those contested things, but they didn't get very many views. So
yeah, no, we could. John is asking, can you relaunch it? We can't relaunch it, John. But I mean, I don't see why, if it didn't start getting views, it wouldn't actually get reserved.
Ooh,
right?
You know what we could do? I'm sorry. Wait. John just had a really good point. Oh my God, John. Thank you so much, John. Take the two videos, the TV and the movies, combine them into one master video. unlist those suckers.
You could do the most accurate ranking of Star Trek of all time. But I don't know if I could rank movies against TV shows, bro.
No, I mean
because those questions have not been asked.
No, we did movies though.
No, well, you could do them as two separate elements for one. You're saying do it two separate things in one video.
We make one video back to back, right? Like a compilation video almost.
Yeah.
Every Star Trek ranked the most definitive ranking of all time, and you launch it with a brand new epic thumbnail and just plainly say the most scientific ranking. Your opinion doesn't matter.
Oh, scientific. I like that one.
Your opinion does not matter. This is the scientific ranking of every Star Trek TV show and movie ever produced right here.
Yeah. They get about 100 views a day right now, these videos.
They still get 100 views a day?
They get 100 views a day. So it's not like crazy, but it's still not what it could be.
That's what I'm saying. If we unlisted those suckers and literally backed them up against each other, maybe with a little bit of an intro and outro to sort of explain, and just boom, one giant, huge master list. One reason those videos didn't do good too, because I think they were also shorter. We do better with longer videos.
Well, the only other problem could be that it does not fit our format right now. So we could throw off our current viewers. That's true. That's the only thing, is it doesn't really fit the history formatting. But I mean, I like the idea a lot, but
yeah, maybe we do it for Christmas or something.
Maybe, I know it someday we'll eventually launch all the Superman stuff together, but the thing about the Superman stuff is we're going to have to edit out the intros of those when we do compile it together, because we don't need the explanation on the history.
Yeah, we'll have to make one giant intro and then edit out all the intro sections and just go back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
And just go the definitive history of Superman, period, the end. That's interesting. You're so right. It doesn't fit our format, but man, I would love to see an 1.5 hour long video just about that. Straight up.
Yeah.
It's a really good idea, John.
Good job, John. Way to inspire.
Maybe I'll talk Shane into it one day. Look at that. Look at that ranking. It's so, like, the score system is so good, bro.
Yeah. Well, it's numbers based, and it's based. Yeah, it's
scientific.
Me, man. This is my kind of thing,
Yeah, this is before AI. I want you guys to know this. This is before AI. There was no AI to help with this. Shane had to gather thousands of sources.
No AI. You're right. Yeah.
He gathered thousands of sources and came up with a numbering system.
That is funny.
A lot of
work.
Something that I realized when I watched this video. Sometimes, Shane, I don't give you enough credit. Shane does an insane. I always feel like I do an insane amount of work because I'm the guy who finishes everything, and it's like a marathon. It's like a 2-week marathon every time, right?
Yeah.
And so and at the end of it, I'm just like fucking dead. I'm beat, and I don't give Shane enough kudos. But dude, this takes an incredible amount of work, bro. This video, the Voyager video, is an incredible amount of work. This information wasn't just out there. This has to be found, and once you find it, you find all this information. You have to sort through what's relevant, what's not, what's real, what's not. And then you have to create a 2-hour script. It's a movie that tells a coherent story from start to finish. That is an insane amount of fucking work. That's an insane amount of work, dude. I don't say that enough to you. I'm sorry about that.
Well, I'll tell you what. When you do say it, it means a lot. So
the reason I don't, though, is by the end of a video, I'm so beat, and I sort of hate Shane by the end of a video. I love Shane to death, but by the end of a video, I've heard his voice for 7,000 hours straight.
Oh yeah.
I can barely breathe. I'm so tired of all the false starts. Up, take 2, take 3, take 3, take 2, take fucking, I don't know, take 17. I don't know.
I gotta figure out how not to do that.
By the time I get to the end of a video, though, I'm like so mad that Shane put so much effort into it. I don't realize all that effort is actually what makes it special. I'm just like, I got to edit 2 fucking hours of and every minute takes like an hour and a half of my life. Just like
you were so mad. You were so mad when you knew how long Voyager was.
Oh my God.
I remember telling you,
dude. I'm like, you're like, bro, why are you doing every season? I'm like, because you have to. How do you tell the story? I'm like, how do you expect me to do this? I can't do. This was the first one. This was the first video I had to make in parts because my computer could not handle like 12,000 assets on one timeline.
You're right, man.
This was the first video I had to make in parts, you guys.
Yeah, this was such a long script. I'm trying to remember. I'm going to look it up real quick while I'm thinking here. How many pages this script was so long. Like a standard, if you watched like a recent one, like one of our Superman ones, you know, like Henry Cavill's Superman script was 39 pages, right? Long video, hour and 15 minutes, right?
Right.
When you look at Star Trek Voyager, it was 85 pages.
Jeez.
So just huge, you know,
Jeez.
Lots of work.
Such an insane amount of work, dude. Yeah, John Yulden is like, that's impressive. I'm struggling with 10-minute script. Yeah, dude, trust me. Last night I made a DCU video, and I'm not feeling good. I'm actually pretty sick right now. I'm hoping I don't get pneumonia, but I'm like, I have like the flu or something. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I am reading the script over and over and over again. I can't pronounce words correctly. I'm stopping, and I feel bad for me. I'm like, I gotta stop giving Shane shit for like having like 55 takes or whatever, because I've had to read this 10-minute script like 17 times, and then I have to piece it together just to make it sound right.
Well, I'm glad you're getting it's tough sometimes, man. It's tough getting it right all the time.
And it was a 10-minute video. It was a 10-minute video I could not get right. It's crazy, bro.
Yeah, when you look at like, if you go back and you count all of our videos, like before we were doing these histories, a lot of you guys have been around with us for a long time. Like histories, we have 14 histories. If you go back, like documentary style histories, but we have like 80 additional videos that aren't histories, that were theory videos or explanations, or all, you know, researched, you know, similar to these, not quite as long, usually between maybe 20 minutes and 45 minutes. But there's, you know, so we have put a lot of work out there. And we've got a lot of experience doing it. So we're very fortunate to have each other. Brian is an excellent editor, the best you could possibly ever get. And we have enough flexibility where we care about each other enough to actually not want to quit. I guess because we're brothers, it makes it a little easier. We can't really quit on each other.
Well, we're honest to a fault. That's for sure. Like I will literally call up Shane and be like, oh, God damn it, I don't understand why you do this to me.
Yeah. Like sometimes Brian will make a thumbnail and he'll have spent 8 hours on it,
dude.
And I'm looking at it, knowing it's not good enough,
right?
But so I have to go, listen, man, I'm really sorry, but this isn't going to work.
You guys don't want to see my thumbnail folders.
You
guys don't want to see my thumbnail folders. I will spend an insane amount of time on a thumbnail, make what I think is a piece of art, and Shane's like, yeah, you can't see shit, dude. It's not gonna work. I'm like, what the fuck? What do you mean? What do you mean it's not gonna work? Let me tell you something. The Ghostbusters. This was like, to this day, I'm never gonna forget this. I'm never gonna let this one go. The Ghostbusters video. Okay, I killed myself on that thumbnail, and I made a thumbnail that I thought was hands down the most badass Ghostbusters thumbnail that's ever existed. It had the Ecto one. It had the little tiny marshmallow men flying off the back. Super cool.
It was so cool.
Flying down the road toward a giant marshmallow man. Shane's like, yeah. And when I remember hearing his voice being like, don't do it. Don't do it, right? He goes, now you gotta make the words bigger, man. You gotta move all that shit out of the way. Like, God damn it. I was so mad.
I know.
And
it's
Shane,
hard to do it too.
He's always nice about it though. He goes like, bro. And when I hear that voice, I'm like, God damn it. He doesn't like it. And how
good does it make you feel when
when it works?
How good does it make you feel when you hear You nailed it, man.
Yeah.
This is so good.
It's like one in every like maybe 4 histories. I nail it on the first shot.
Yeah, true.
But I look at the Ghostbusters thumb now and I'm like, yeah, it's a good thumb. But the one I had before, without words, was fucking epic.
You know, that would make a great poster. Like sometimes I think you're making like a piece of art.
I think I go too far with it, yeah.
Which is natural. It's part of your thing. Which is why our IMDb, I guess you'd call them, what do you call them? Movie posters.
Movie posters, yeah.
Are so good.
Yeah, because I'm not worried about getting clicks. I'm just worried about getting eyeballs.
You're just making it look good.
Yeah, the original Aliens thumbnail. I remember I spent all this time like trying to make the Queen, all this effort, and it was it was not good. And I remember you going like, I don't know where you're gonna put like the words. It needs to be bigger. And initially I was mad, but then as I started working on it, it clicked. And the one we came up with ultimately was actually better than the one I had spent like 4 hours on, and I spent a lot less time on that one.
That's what usually happens. I mean, even though it's frustrating to be, to hear this isn't good enough, usually what we come up with, what we talk about, and then you end up doing, almost always is like, wow, that's way so much better.
Yeah. Oh, the Voyager one, that was a knockout of the park. First shot.
That was first shot, except
for the ship. I used the wrong ship.
I used the wrong ship,
bro. I'm supposed to be like a Star Trek historian.
That thumb was up.
I was supposed to use like a Star Trek historian. I used like the video game ship or something because I just Googled Voyager and I just grabbed the biggest one there and it was completely wrong. Completely wrong ship.
Yeah, it was funny, and we were like, I'm like, dude, wake up. Dude,
yeah,
wake up.
I was like
You're
dead
so
asleep.
tired.
I had worked for like 3 weeks straight, and like there was like 50 comments, people complaining about the ship, and I had to go and change it real quick.
Yeah, and once he did, it was like, oh, there it is. Yeah. Well, your brain is so tired at the end. I don't even know how you get it done sometimes.
Dude, I remade the Dune thumbnail like 12 times.
Oh man, and I actually really liked the first one.
I did too.
Like, I love the worm coming out of the desert, and that Dune video just pisses me off.
We still have the worm coming out of the desert, but now it's in the background with like
but it was the
yeah, it was
now
the
we put Timothée Chalamet because, and I know most people who are Dune fans love this Dune movie, and so that's why Timothy is there. But I got to tell you, I really did good work on that script, on that narration. That Dune video is so knowledgeable,
but my editing is shit.
It's not gotten the view.
My editing is not good on that video, dude.
I think we released it too late. I think we released it after the hype had already come and gone, and we caught people with I don't want any more Dune. And so it was bad timing, but if you guys haven't seen the Dune one, you love Dune, go check that one out.
To be honest too, I think my editing was sort of shitty. Not for all the parts, but for a healthy amount of them, it was sort of like low key. Music was sort of low key. And that was before I had learned to love something for what it was versus my opinion of it.
Yeah.
So I don't like any of the Alien movies after Aliens, like except for maybe Romulus.
Romulus was pretty good.
Romulus was great. I liked Romulus a lot, but all the other ones were just sort of subpar to me, right?
Yeah.
In fact, Alien, not Aliens, but Alien was sort of subpar to me. But then I learned to like it for the art it was. Once I learned to appreciate something for the art, then I can get motivated to actually create something that has the same tone. I never really liked Alien until I learned about all the practical effects and art.
Well, and you came along. The problem is like, and this is the problem with a lot of people, and it's why it's hard for us to make these older videos. A lot of you guys who are older with us, you get it. But like Alien was a moment in time that changed cinema. But for everybody now, they like watch it and go, what's the fucking big deal? But at the time it was such a big deal.
Right.
So over time you lose that magic, like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, there may or may not be something like that coming soon. But today's audiences are numb to unknowing of it. You know, so it's not going to probably be a huge viewed video, and it takes somebody like you to go back and be like, wow, now I see how it works and why I should appreciate it.
Yeah, I can appreciate Close Encounters for the importance to cinema, the importance to science fiction, like how important it was to the genre that I love so much, and I can appreciate it, and I can get into the zone and make a cool video about it for that reason. But when I watch the movie, I'm bored out of my fucking mind.
Right. No, I get it.
I can't control that.
And yet it was the most exciting of its time.
Right.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Archmage, good question here. Do you just keep one, or do you run the test for several options for thumbnails? We do sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Usually we go with one, and then depending on the kind of views we're getting and whether or not Brian has like a different idea or a thumbnail he wanted to use, we'll do an A/B test because it gets you another serving, I believe, Brian, right?
Yeah, it gets you. You can if you A/B test after the fact, you get one more like little instant serving, where the system is trying to see which one is the better thumbnail. You can't do it a second. You can't keep gaming the system by constantly changing the thumbnail. Unfortunately,
right?
I've tried. But yeah, you can sort of A/B. If you get a better idea, you throw an A/B test up, you get another serving, and coincidentally, it's almost every time it's the second thumbnail that is always the better one.
Isn't that true?
It seems to be the case. Same with Dune, Superman.
Is that what's happening with Henry Cavill's?
Henry Cavill's is.
Are we A/Bing that one?
It's A/Bing testing right now, so it keeps switching back and forth between the two.
How close is it? Which one is leading?
I'll tell you right now.
Because I'm curious, because we ended up going with your second idea. I'd be curious to know if the first idea is doing better.
First idea is doing better.
Interesting.
52.4 to 47.6.
So it's close. At least it's close, which means you're a pretty good artist, bro.
Yeah.
If they're getting almost the same number of clicks, both of them, you know?
Yeah.
John mentions Last Starfighter. Man, great movie. You know, and this is the problem with movies like that are really old, that weren't blockbusters at the time but became like cult classic movies. How many of us are still alive that love it, that we can get to watch it? Because if we release something that people don't want to watch, it actually hurts our next video's release as well. We have to be very careful about the histories that we produce. I would love to just do whatever we like, but we also have to do what we think people will watch. So, we know we need to do a Battlestar Galactica because that's going to get good views for us. We'll have to do some polling on Last Starfighter because it's such a great movie.
Sometimes we have to sandwich too. Like if we know Close Encounters might not get a ton of views, but we want to get that video out, we might make sure that the follow-up to that is like a guaranteed home run, or as close to a guaranteed home run as we can get, to make sure it sort of makes up for the lack of views.
I think a Close Encounters for us will do better than it has for other people because of the other videos we have up.
Perhaps.
We've got a viewing audience that likes those movies, and I think they would probably like that story. Whereas other people who have not done as well doing something like that, I'm trying to look at this differently than I used to, you know. So I really do think it's going to do much better.
I'm blown away that the Cavill Superman is still 2 out of 10, right underneath Voyager. Like,
yeah, is it slowing down? Slowing down a touch though.
It's slowing. Maybe it's slowing down, but it's still sitting at 2 out of 10. Alien got almost 400,000 views, so like it's gonna go up there for sure.
Oh, it's gonna roll. It's gonna roll for a while. This was a good choice for us. I mean, you know, I'm pretty happy with all of our Superman videos. Over time, they're gonna do really well. John, Dune must be incredibly hard for research with all the detail. Yes.
Dune was a beast. And then I was trying to find half the stuff. Honestly, sometimes he was talking about stuff. I'm like, this doesn't exist in the world.
Yeah.
So
that's tough. That's why the AI is good sometimes.
I'm just going to put footage in here and hopefully it works out. The stuff with the maker of Dune, I always forget his name. That was pretty cool. I found a cool interview with him, if I recall, that really worked out. But there wasn't a whole lot. There's not a whole lot on Dune. Even the Dune documentary is like 90% of it is just people talking. So you can't even like glean from those or anything. So
yeah, and they don't have any good Dune documentaries. That's why I was really excited to make ours. You know, and really it doesn't cover the books. And I think that's one thing that I worries me about our video. I wonder if people look at it and go, oh, they're going to talk about the books. And listen, if you love the Dune books, it's great. But if you love the Dune movies, you don't really maybe not care about the books too much, because there's a lot of books. So it's only the Dune, movie process, and it's got a fantastically interesting history. So
yeah. Our next documentary this coming weekend is one of those. Well, we don't know. We don't know if it's how well it's going to do. So we're probably going.
I think it'll do well.
You think it'll do well?
Yeah, definitely. I think 2 reasons, and we're not going to tell you guys what it is yet because we want you to be surprised. But you're going to stick around for this one. 2 reasons why I think it's going to be great. I think it's something that's really never been done before.
It hasn't. That's for sure. And it's one of my favorite all-time movies, like of all time.
Yeah, it's something that's never been done before.
It's one of those few movies I've seen probably 30, 40 times.
And I'll throw this little magic trick in there. Most of you guys, maybe you'll figure it out, but we should also do the movie that Corey Feldman did just before that one. In fact, I got to put it on the list.
The vampire one?
And you just think about it.
The vampire one?
No, I'm not asking. I said you think about it. Don't say anything. The movie Corey Feldman did just before the one we're doing now.
Oh, I do not think we should do that one. We should not do that one.
We absolutely should do that one.
No, you're out of your mind. That's crazy. That's a horrible idea. That's so outside of our realm.
I don't think you know what movie I'm talking about.
Maybe I don't.
You'll have to IMDb him.
I guess I'm going to have to.
Anyways, that's all I'm going to give you as a tease.
I want to go look it up now. Yeah, I know what one it is.
Nice guess, Archmage. I'm not telling you.
Oh, thank God it's not the one I think it was. I thought maybe you were talking about.
Don't say anything. No, you're going to give it all away.
I'm not. No, you're right. You're right. We need to do that one. 100%. Bro, why have we never talked about that before?
Because I didn't notice it until I looked up his IMDb, and I'm like, oh, shit.
Oh, my God. That's brilliant. We need to do that one. Yes, in October.
That's, yeah. Well, closer. Well, I'm not going to say anything else. See, you're gonna force me to give it away.
I'm not going to give it away. But 100% that needs to be done.
All right. We'll keep it a surprise.
We probably should do Lost Boys, too. I mean, I like Lost Boys.
Dude, there's so many.
That's a cult classic, bro.
The cool thing about what we're doing is the cool thing about the job that we have right now is that it's all great movies. Like the 80s and 90s are filled with so many great things we can do, and it's a lot of fun. So
it's so funny. The Goonies 2 is on Corey Feldman's IMDb. There is no such movie as The Goonies 2.
You know why? It's because they announced that Steven Spielberg wants to make
it. Has a poster and everything. It makes no sense. There's literally no movie here.
No, there's nothing. But, maybe.
I'm not crazy. Look at this. I'm just going to show you the... Oh, you can't see it. Look, it's right there. It's like a poster and everything. Like a whole poster.
Let's see what they came up with. Did they show everybody their current age? Can you open that?
I can't make it bigger. It just opens up.
Can't see it.
Bunch of nonsense. It says the only cast is Corey Feldman and Martha Plimpton. People that aren't working.
Guess who you don't have to bring back for that, Martha Plimpton.
Actually, Martha Plimpton is actually working right. She's in a show on Showtime that's actually pretty good. But she's very, very old. Very old. She plays like a grandmother. And it's like, it's jarring. It's jarring. It makes me feel really fucking old.
Yeah, you don't need a Goonies 2, John. You're 100% right.
No, you do not, dude. No, you do not. Okay.
But studios are going to probably do it.
Oh, they're going to do it for sure. 100%.
Well, that was fun.
All right.
Hope you guys enjoyed that.
Yes, my friends. We'll be back next Tuesday for another one.
We're going to catch them all up. So if there wasn't one before, we're going to slowly knock them all out.
Got to catch them all.
So we're not doing a Pokemon one. Okay, we're not doing Pokemon.
I keep telling you, if we did a Pokemon history of Pokemon, we would make us so much money, bro.
I won't do it.
Shane won't do it, though. He won't do it.
I'm too old for that.
Okay, boys.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate you. We love you all. Thank you for the support. Thank you for being members of our channel. We makes us very proud to know that we get to make this content, and you guys love us that much to be a member. So
yeah, it's awesome.
See you guys next time around, huh?
All right, guys. Much love. Have an awesome week. We'll be back. All kinds.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. I'll be back with John on Sunday. So
yes,
if you guys are watching the Stargate stuff, I'm doing the stuff with John on his channel on Sunday. So come to that too. Okay, guys. Much love. Have a great one.
Love you guys. Have a great week.
I didn't put the outro on here, dude. I have to.
There's no outro. What?
I don't know. I keep forgetting.
Just dance. The outro's